Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the show today. Very happy to have you here. Hopefully, it's been a great weekend for you. I know I'm in the middle of my rainy season, so it's another gloomy day, of course, and it will continue for weeks. But nevertheless, hopefully, you did some interesting things on your weekend. I personally went out and saw the latest, which I think is number eight, pretty sure, of the Mission Impossible, specifically Final Reckoning. And don't listen to the hype. I don't think it's the last one. At least not with the ending they gave us, because that certainly was left as a potential. There could be more, more, more. Me personally, I think they should just put a new team together and put it on like streaming service as a series. That would probably be something fun. Of course, that's where Mission Impossible comes from. It was a TV series, but younger crowd, new group, go out and see if you can't make something of it. The concept's, of course, really good, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit here in a minute when I get into it. But it's unfortunately doing very poorly, just like the last one did in the theaters, which is a kind of a shame because it's kind of a normal little popcorn flick. I mean, there's no problems whatsoever. Just going to watch it. I mean, you can nitpick it, but it's not really that kind of movie to be done. So, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe this series is done, but they didn't end it that way. Is my point. Nevertheless, we'll be talking about that and a few other things, of course, and also kind of getting into. What's going on for well, various politics and things around the world, and as we usually do. Now, as far as that is concerned, with me over here in Asia, things are great in Japan. Taiwan's doing amazing. Korea is definitely coming up. Southeast Asia is doing really well. Of course, Burma or Myanmar is still in its state, but no one cares about that. But hopefully, it will get better for sure. But basically, here in the Orient, things are doing pretty well. India's on the up and up, although they always have their problems, of course. But there is money and things that need to be done. But of course, the big elephant in the room for us is China. And China is literally on fire.
Excellent.
So there's that. But yeah, let me see. Roger says, well, yeah, Chester, it's cloudy and there's some rain. Uh, uh, and half of the people of Japan are killing themselves, and they're on the brink of economic collapse. Other than that, it's rainy season for you. What are you talking about? Japan's in beautiful economic situation, dude. Japan's
I
cranking.
wonder if he meant China is on the verge of collapse. That's
Oh, that's
maybe where
okay though. We don't care. But no,
they always
Japan's
are.
doing
Every
wonderful.
couple centuries or so, China just collapses into itself like a void,
They do.
and
Well,
then
most
yeah,
civilizations have a hard time passing that 400-year mark.
yeah,
It's kind of that's a wall.
it's
But
the endless cycle, the
yeah,
great filter, as it were.
seems so. But it's bad in China, dude. There's fires every day. There's political crackdown. It's just getting worse and worse and worse, visibly so. And keep that in mind. This is a country that spends, has a little army of people that are 24/7, 365 trying to block anything that is even slightly negative from
Yeah,
existing on the internet inside their world.
extreme propaganda.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But yet
I
we're
tried to tell
still
people
getting the
a few.
information. It's amazing.
I tried to tell people in 2016 about these groups, right? Because politicians use them too. And
Sure.
then it came out that Hillary Clinton's campaign was using one massive one in China, I believe,
Sure.
or maybe it was Ukraine. Well, it might have been both.
Well,
Um,
they are allies.
and yeah, and they were, that's what they were doing. They were out here running PR basically all day, every day, pretending to be normal people and
Hmm.
all sorts of things. And yeah, it's ubiquitous on the internet. There's I'm sure you've seen it, the dead internet theory, that the
Oh
vast
yeah, yeah.
majority of the internet is just bots and dead accounts now. And the more you interact with people on social media, the more true that seems to be, to be
Well, yeah,
honest.
it's
Like,
also an ever crumbling demographic, right?
yep.
It's like this eternal loop that you can't escape. And I don't. I've actually watched a documentary on it, and yeah, it makes sense.
Yep.
I'm good
And
with
the
that.
weird thing is we have created, well, we didn't create it. Mark Zuckerberg stole it, and then he turned it into the world's largest mausoleum in Facebook because, especially in the West, pretty much everybody has a Facebook at some point.
Right.
And if they die, it's still there. So if they're a person who posts pictures every so often, there's just this eternal memorial to this person
Hmm.
that's up forever that Facebook usually won't delete unless you get like an order to do so.
Well,
They won't
mine was
shut it down.
stolen, so
Well,
solved.
yeah, and you'll never get that back. So don't even, let's not play make believe here.
Oh no, no, and I don't really need it back. I didn't fight. I didn't really put up much resistance, to be fair. But because I don't use it anyway, I don't know why I even started the damn thing. But it was forever ago. It was when when Facebook first came out. So what is that? 20 plus years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a long time ago.
Well, yeah. Holy shit, yeah. 2005 or 6, so
Yeah,
about 20 years, yeah.
yeah. So that's that's when I created that. But I don't care. I only reason I have the Twitter is because of this show. If I didn't have, if I wasn't doing these shows, I wouldn't even have that because I don't use it. Right.
Yeah.
Better a collapse than a what is this? Better than a collapse than a prolapse. My gay social studies teacher used to say. Um, why you do realize a prolapse is a very serious medical condition,
It happens a lot to gay men.
does it?
Yes.
Why I think that goes under the category thunder of things I didn't need to know.
I didn't need to know it either, but I have been intellectually mind raped with this information, so you're going to have to share in this
Hmm.
torment.
And you wonder why societies throughout history have banned in various ways the homosexual. Hmm.
It's very interesting, isn't
It
it?
is
How every
odd
single color, creed,
human thinking.
everything have been like, nah, no, we don't need this.
Gee,
Listen, we don't need this.
I didn't know they had that problem. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, yeah.
But I
They
mean,
also have very disgusting poops. Very disgusting poops.
I would admit that I never once again thought about, but it makes sense. But it's
Yeah.
just not designed for in, it's an out thing.
Yes, it's an exit door, not an
You know,
entrance.
so I kind of get it. That's unfortunate. But enough of that conversation. I'm chastising you with both fingers, just so you know. Um,
Well, that's
but
probably how that happens
this
sometimes.
probably is true. But back to China. And I think it's illegal to be there. But yeah, boy, it's like I said, it's they crack down on information, but yet it's flooding out. That tells you how
Yeah,
bad it is. Matter of fact, it got to because every day there are fires, disgruntled people burnt setting things on fire, or just their EVs setting on fire all by themselves. But there was one that happened last week that was a big deal, right? Because this
mhm,
guy, they basically refused to pay him like $700 they owed him or something like that, and he got mad and I guess he stabbed the owner and set the place on fire. But the thing burned for 3 days. It was a gigantic textile factory, and they just couldn't get that thing out because they're incompetent in every level of society, right?
that's right.
And of course, there are a whole bunch of other fires that happened last week. Some of them big ones, like an entire train station that they just built. We had an entire temple that they just put a new roof on, and a week later, the whole thing fell down. And lots of that kind of shit, right? But
Right.
that fire that guy set, um, it a lot of they couldn't hide it quick enough or long enough, and a lot of people got the information. It was going around China and became almost like a spark of revolution.
Mhm.
How many Chinese were actually rooting and calling this guy a hero. He literally stabbed a person and set a place on fire. It's not the normal heroic thing,
Well, if
but
Punisher.
well, unless you're the Punisher, and
Yeah.
We'll talk. We actually are talking about Punisher. A little bit of foreshadowing
I
from Thundera.
I figured we were. I had a feeling. I had a sneaking suspicion,
A little
Chester.
bit. I don't
I'm
trust.
clever, me.
I don't trust it, but
No, no,
anyway,
don't trust
don't
anything.
trust anything. Um,
DTA,
yeah,
DTA.
yeah. But other than the troubles that are happening there, and I kind of wish it would fall and they would have a revolution and get some democracy. It's going to take a long time to fix the problem, but
I don't think
honestly,
they need democracy. I think they need a softer tyranny. Because when they
maybe.
had that, they were fine. About 20 or so years ago, China was okay for the most part.
Yeah, yeah, but
However,
I'd rather see them
they
free.
degenerated.
They did
Yeah,
degenerate. Yeah,
democracy is a false god. I wish we would lose our democracy, to be honest with you. I'd much rather they have some form of aristocracy, like a real one, not the fake make believe one that they have now,
I see.
that would
Um,
protect their culture and their heritage and their people and not treat them like disposable units that can just be replaced at any moment because there's so fucking
right.
many of them.
Well, I think my point was in Asia, everything's really doing well over here in the Orient aspect of Asia. And everyone's coming up and it's happy, golden, everyone's working together. It's nice, dude. It's nice.
Yeah.
It's just China,
Yeah.
just right. You might not realize this. A lot of people don't really, I think, understand geography.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it bothers me.
Are you
Uh,
you're vexed by it
I
is
am
what you're saying.
vexed.
Terribly vexed.
I'm not sure how legitimate some of the things I've seen are. But it seems to me that the younger generation cannot find anything on a map.
No, they
Like,
all they know is, white people are bad.
yeah,
Um, Gay people are amazing. Black
mm,
people are perfect and can do no wrong.
right,
And if you argue with any of and women are equal to men in all respects all the time, always. And if you argue
mm,
with any of this on any
yeah,
level at any point, you're a bad person.
bad. You're a very bad person.
You're a
Well,
very bad
I was
person.
going to say, other than all the Mongoloid people over here, we also right here, right in line with Hokkaido, which right in this Sea of Japan, we do have a giant Russian city. I don't know if you knew that. It's called Vladivostok.
All
And
of us suck.
Yeah, it's a big old Russian city. It's their eastern hub, and it's part of everything goes on over here. So we do see Russians, and it's a nice big old city, dude. I actually was kind of hoping to go to it. It's just probably not a good time right now.
So is it very Russian or is it very Asian?
Oh no, no, it's Russian, Russian. Yeah, yeah, definitely
Because
Russian,
Russia's
Russian.
a very strange place because
It
it's so
is,
huge.
and
It has
it's
so many different cultures in it.
mega diverse. Yes, you're right.
Yes, it's the second most diverse nation on the planet, I believe, behind America.
Would you like to guess what the most common language spoken Russia is? Spoken in Russia is?
English.
No, no. Although
Mm.
I imagine a lot of them do speak English, it is quite common around the world. But most people would say, Russian, but it's not.
Yeah.
The most common, by far, language spoken in Russia is Tartarian.
Oh boy. All right, I'll be right back.
What? It's the truthful. That's the actual correct answer. Yeah, you would have to put it in the form of a question if you're on Jeopardy, however. Yeah. But anyway, I do kind of want to jump over that Russian city and see it because it would be a long flight to go to Moscow or St. Petersburg. Although I do want to go there. It is kind of on the list of things I want to see. You know, there's a lot of places I'd like to go to. Oh goodness, Alan. Well, yeah, that's enough of that line there, Alan. We don't need that conversation. Thank you very much. But anyway, India's, like I said, doing well. They have a little bit of trouble with that Pakistan, but every few years there's something that pops up with that. But Pakistan's a dying country, and not really if they're going to survive this last one here. They're in pretty bad shape, dude. Um, there is an area. It's a big chunk of Pakistan. What's it called? Balochistan or something like that. And it has declared its independence and breaking away. Pakistan might crumble into like nothingness, which would be good. The problem with that is they do have some of them nuclear weapons though, so someone's going to have to go in there. If it collapses, someone's going to have to go secure that, and that's kind of the problem. Having countries that do have these destructive weapons, what happens when they collapse? Goodness gracious! I mean, Soviet Union collapsed, but that was handled pretty well, and none of them seem to get into the wild. Well, Hollywood seems to think so, but reality says no. But yeah, if Pakistan collapses, I kind of wonder who's going to secure that. India, maybe. I don't know. Someone's going to have to. Anyway, the Middle East, oddly enough, with the Middle East actually, is it's kind of piecing out. I mean, Afghanistan's Afghanistan. Just kind of don't look at it. But Saudis and all those rich oil countries are very, very happy with the current president, and they're all about making money and investment, and it's all hunky dory, happy, happy. Basically, Jordan is happy to see some peace. Israel, the Levant there with Israel, it's, they're still doing the thing in Gaza, but it's done. The Houthis are done. Hezbollah is done. So all that's done. And eventually they will secure the entirety of Gaza here and have it under their control. What they do with it after that, I don't know. I kind of like Trump's idea. Turn it into a giant resort. Be kind of nice. But who knows? Now, Iran, of course, would be the elephant in the room
Okay.
there.
I'm
But
back, Chester, but I'm also going to be washing my dishes, so that's why I might be quiet because I forgot to do my dishes. And I came out here and there's dishes everywhere, and I can't be having it.
No, no, I
So I'm
don't.
going to
I
do them.
don't. I don't like shabbiness either. But nevertheless, let's talk about Iran. The Iranian regime is collapsing at an extremely accelerated rate. There's been little hints of it here or there, and I was like, well, it's happened before. They'll pull it in and they'll beat enough people about the head and shoulders and be back in charge. But I don't know, dude. I kind of think the regime is about to fall, and I say
Well,
that.
it's very unpopular. It has been for a long
Oh
time in
yeah.
Iran.
Oh, the Iranian, the
Um,
Persians just hate these because keep in mind the ruling regime in Iran are Arabs. They're not
Thanks,
Persians.
America. Thanks, America.
Oh well,
We're the reason that's the case.
I tend
We
to
propped
blame
them up.
Britons to be fair.
Well, yeah, but we propped them up in like the 60s or 70s. I can't remember exactly when. And then, as what usually happens, it went sideways on us, like it always does,
You
because
know,
we never learned this damn lesson
it
that
is
this
true.
doesn't work.
It is true.
Uh, when you give somebody who wants power, guess what? They don't just stop wanting power. They're not just like, well, that's enough. I've
Yeah,
had quite about enough of that, and
yeah,
this is as far as I'll go. No,
yeah,
no, they resent you. They hate you because you have more power than them. You see,
yeah.
and it becomes an endless power struggle, an endless game of who can swing the dick bigger. And the problem the rest of the world has is America still has the biggest dick. So
Well,
to put
yeah,
this to
it
make this
does.
analogy as gross as possible,
Oh, that
yeah,
seems to be
America is
the
still does.
trend today. So, fair enough. But the regime in Iran might well fall, dude. I mean, and I'm not even kidding. It's collapsing like every day. It's worse and worse there. So we'll see.
The problem we'll have is their allies overseas, well, I guess over land for them because it's all Asia, um, aren't going to allow that now. Because I think here's what's going to happen. I think China over the next 10 years or so, there's going to be a realignment. I don't think the CCP is done though. I think they'll bounce
Unfortunately,
back.
probably not. Yeah.
They'll just get rid of Xi or make him into basically just a puppet, which he basically kind of is anyway. Um, and that'll be the end of that, and they'll quell a lot of the dissent.
Oh no, they need to
That's
get
what I
rid of
think is
him.
gonna happen.
They have to get rid of him. That they have no choice. And we already see that there's internal warfare going on that we just don't have a lot of information on. But there are military people disappearing, and there's a lot of hot shit going on in the upper echelons of China right now, for sure. But
Yeah.
we'll have to wait and see on that. But it is pure chaos. Iran is pure chaos, and we'll see. It would be good if that fell. It really would be. Get the Persians back. I mean, they're kind of cool people, man. I like the Persian
I
people.
mean, well, yeah, they're white, so
Well, that's not why. I just they're kind of groovy.
no,
But
I'm just kidding. No, but I mean, it is interesting that when Persia was Caucasian, or much more Caucasoid than it is now, um, whatever the Arabs are, um, it was a much cooler place to live and a much cooler
Oh
place to
yeah,
be, and
it
they
was
were
real chill
one of
back in the
the
'70s, dude.
one of the most technologically advanced places for a very long time.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. They're
No
capable,
reason they
dude.
can't be again. They just have to get rid of this cancer that is Islam and
Yeah,
get it under
no,
control.
unfortunately, but we'll see. I hope it works out because, like I said, Iran's actually a really cool place, man. I'd like to see him back. Turkmenistan, it's nothing. They unfortunately the son is not the father. Same thing you can say in Thailand. These kings, they go through bouts of, oh, that was a good one. Oh, that one wasn't very good, and they're in the
Oh,
throes
that's
of that.
what happens when you have a king system, yeah.
Yeah, Uzbekistan is an absolute disaster. We shan't look at that any more than we'll look at Afghanistan. Okay, okay. The other little stannies, they're over right on the edge of China. They're okay-ish. Kazakhstan is doing pretty good, actually. Just so you know.
Kazakhs, the Kazakhs.
Yeah,
Um,
they're doing pretty good. Actually, it's up for them.
Unironically, what I think China needs is I think they need a king. They need a real king, a proper king, proper monarchical
Get
system
back to the
over
imperial,
there.
huh? It probably would help
It
them, be honest with you, and it would
it
be a popular
absolutely would.
king in the beginning. So,
Yeah.
it
Well, I
would
mean,
give
because
them
there's nothing
a
that
give them a
beats a good
chance.
king, right? Like
Yeah.
America was effectively founded with a good king in Washington. Yes, he wasn't technically a king, but I mean, come on, nobody was going to really challenge him too
Well,
much.
they
So
certainly envision him as one. Let's just put it
yeah,
that way.
they tried to make him one. He was like, no,
Mm,
no, we're not doing
yeah.
that. We're not
Well,
doing that.
Erdogan over in Turkey, he's got so much pressure on him. He's desperate. He's desperate to get involved in anybody else's war he possibly can. So he's
Yep.
siding with all the Muslims everywhere. Like, I'll come help you, because he's got so much troubles there, and we could see a regime change there as well.
And
So the world's
a
hot right now.
streak of
Yeah.
piss running down his leg. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Possibly.
roaches. Uh, the 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 Turks, as we call them, but I mean, these people that live in Turkey, they're not exactly well, not I don't know about the people, but the people who rule it have not been good people for a very, 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 very long
Yeah.
time.
No. That's
And
been not good.
they're really not people that we should tolerate. The only reason we do is because they're unfortunately more valuable alive than they would be dead, kind of like what happened in Libya.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Well, that was a big
but yeah,
mistake by Obama and Clinton getting rid of
yes,
Gaddafi, dude. That was a huge mistake.
added
Um,
nothing to the
no, it
world.
hurt
Did
us a
nothing but
lot.
terrible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all
Gaddafi
of
was
that.
actually trying to modernize Africa. Imagine if he had been
He
allowed to
was.
finish it. Yeah, he was brutal, but it was working.
It
So
was. And of course, with him not being there, you had the flooding of the migrants into Europe, is because he wasn't there. But
yep.
so Turkey is another on the edge of a collapse, a regime. So there's a lot of that potential regime change going on around the world, guys. And
Well, we had
Africa.
one here in America effectively, and then we had another one back into the regime before it. Because I mean, like
Mhm.
I know we all want to just live and let die with 2020, but they stole the fuck out of that election, and everybody kind of knows it. And even the people who are like, "No, they did it," they say it with a giggle. They know what they did.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but and then the American people and the Almighty known as God decided, no, the Orange Man is who we're going with.
yeah.
Orange Man, we're gonna he's gonna dodge bullets like Neo from the Matrix. We're putting him in, and there we are.
Yeah,
We
here we
put him
go.
in.
There you go. We did it. We got our mafia boss. I mean, he's our
We did.
mafia boss. Um,
That's right.
as far
Well, I
as
mean, that's how
Africa,
the mafias were, right? I mean, and especially at the beginning, they were just taking care of their neighborhoods. Most of them, they were
yeah,
trying to protect their
yeah, that's
families and their
true.
people
That
because
is true. Same
they
with
were
the Yakuza
immigrants
over
into a
here.
country that hated them,
That's how they
right?
started.
Like
Yeah, that's true.
the Italians were not loved like they are now because I mean, we hadn't understood the joys of pasta yet as a culture in
Oh,
America. And then once we figured that out, we're like, all right, you guys are kind of cool. All right, well, all right. You talk with your hands a lot for some reason, but
yeah,
other
and
than
a little
that, you're
little bit
kind of
hot
cool.
headed. A little bit hot headed. You know, but your girls are good to date. Wouldn't marry one. Yeah. But
No, you don't
no,
marry an
no, you
Italian
don't
girl.
marry an Italian girl
Hi,
or a Latin for that matter, any
can you hear
Latin.
me?
But let's see here. South Africa, of course, we all know what's going on with
Oh,
that.
they're Italian. They
Trump
need to tolerate each other.
was brutal. I have never seen a world leader do such a thing, dude.
I loved it.
So
I
did
loved every
I.
second of
But
it.
boy, dude, I mean, come on. That was
Wasn't very
brutal.
Wasn't very diplomatic, was it?
Well, to be fair, he gave that guy a chance to be honest. He gave him a chance.
He did.
He let it
He
roll.
did.
He chose to lie. So Trump's like, well, I got to respond to that. Turn down the lights.
No, he knew what the guy was going to do. He knew he was a liar. I mean,
Yeah,
Elon
just
is one of his
prepare.
closest, if not his closest advisor and confidant. You don't think Elon knows what's going on in his home country? Come on, guys.
Of course
He does.
But that place is a disaster, and they desperately need something. There's a lot of rumors going around of it split into two countries, um, and the whites and colors who get along pretty well being on the west side, and let the Hutu do whatever they want to do with the east. Of course, Zimbabwe, learning from the mistakes that South Africa is trying to copy, was like, "Oh, we saw Zimbabwe kill all their farmers. Let's do that." And of course, Zimbabwe or Rwanda is famous for their famine, which happened after you killed the farmers. Now they're
Yeah.
begging for them to come back, but all of that is
Well,
pretty much nonsense war.
what's interesting is, for whatever reason, and I'm not here to be, you know, racist, but for whatever reason, Africans have this sub-Saharan Africans, Northern Africans largely have it figured out, but sub-Saharan Africans, just the idea of agriculture is, it's like you're trying to teach a sheep algebra. They're just lost. They
Yeah.
can't put it together, and they haven't been able to for 10,000 or so years, if not longer.
They
And
can
I don't know
herd
why.
animals a bit. They can do
They
that.
can do a little husbandry, a little bit
a little
animal
bit of
husbandry,
they can do.
but they cannot do agriculture. It's
Yeah.
beyond them.
Yeah,
It's
and
beyond them.
it's weird. The whole world is using the English farming techniques right now, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
'cause
how
they
hard
work.
is it? Just get a book.
Well, that's what's weird, right? Because, in other in other things, like Nigeria is the one example I use a lot. They have a lot of problems, of course, but when it comes to economically and stuff, they're doing a lot better than a lot of the rest of the continent.
Mostly, yeah.
And it's simply because that's going to be hot. It's simply because they decided to follow English liberal economics, at least somewhat, and it works. At least it works to grow your economy. It works to grow your overall wealth. Now, whether or not it's good long term, I don't think it is, and I think
Well,
we're living downstream of that.
don't
But at the start, it's good.
don't visit Nigeria.
No, I'm not saying let's move to Nigeria. That's not what I'm saying at all.
Don't do
I'm
that.
just saying there are places that have figured some things out, but for whatever reason, the Chinese are having this problem right now as they colonize. They cannot get these African people to figure this stuff out. This stuff that
No, which is why I
the
said
Chinese have been doing for
Yeah.
10,000 years. And this is stuff we figured out a long time ago, and yet they just can't. They just can't.
No, they really can't, and it's a shame, but it is what it is. Just so you know, the Ivory Coast is at war again.
Again,
Kicked off a few days ago. Yeah,
lovely.
wonderful. Yeah, of
No,
course.
you're right though. The solution has always been, unless you're going to go purge the entire continent, which nobody's actually advocating for and nobody wants,
No,
just leave them alone.
Leave them alone, dude.
Leave them alone.
Of course, Congo and Rwanda are in full war still. Of course, Ethiopia is threatening and being threatened left and right. Somalia, every piece of it, including Somaliland, is in full war. Sudan is in full war, both north and south. Egypt has a lot of chaos going on. Libya is godless.
Yep.
Quite literally.
I saw
Tunisia.
this thing where the Trump I don't know if it's true, but there was a rumor anyway that the Trump administration was planning on moving the Palestinians to Libya, and I said, so they're just selling them to slavery? Because I mean, that's what they're doing if they go to Libya.
My hands up.
I don't know. Go ahead.
No, I was in approval.
But my point is, these peoples of the world, especially the Libyans, it's without Western influence, would be far better off. Libya was doing all right under Gaddafi. It was comparatively anyway, right? Compared to Amsterdam, no, but compared to everywhere around it, yeah, it was doing pretty good.
No, Gaddafi was keeping it together for sure. For sure,
Yeah, he was trying to modernize a lot of their systems, or at least modern for Africa comparatively, and the only way these places, any of them, Africa, even India to some degree, the parts that are still really savage and backwards, parts of China that are still really savage and backwards, uh, comparatively, the Central Americans with all of their Central and Latin Americans with their whole sections of the South America that is basically, living at 5,000 years ago. All of these things would get better if we left it alone, or it wouldn't. But either way, we wouldn't get worse. There's nothing any of these places can add to us that we need, that we can't get for ourselves or don't already have, especially America. The rest of the West, I don't know, but America for certain, the United States needs very little from the rest of the world to live a very comfortable, very high class, very high tech situation. The only reason why we're having a lot of the problems we're having now is because we keep importing the third world. Whether it was African slaves that we didn't need, they could have picked their own damn cotton, or it was now with the farmers and whatnot, which it's not the farmers, it's the corporations, if we're being honest. Important, basically slaves. Again, they just pay them a little bit of money now, so they're not called slaves, but they're basically slaves. This same problem keeps happening. We keep it happened in Rome too. Bring in a bunch of work. We got to bring in workers. No, you don't have to do that, actually. If the GDP doesn't go up by 2.1% every so often, the world will not, in fact, end. I promise. It won't be a catastrophe to everybody involved. There won't be riots in the streets. There won't be cannibalism in the homes if the GDP doesn't go up by its couple percentage points. I promise you, we'll be all right.
That's true. That's true. Well, Algeria, of course, is still trying to conquer France, and Viva la Algeria, I guess. Tunisia, the little teeny country between Algeria and Libya. I don't know. I don't know. Morocco still has a travel ban warning there. Don't go there. They will kidnap you and try to sell you, and then when they get the money, cut your head off anyway. Yeah, don't go there. Right. The Sahel, well, the Sahel is always at war. Is there ever a point it's not?
Not typically, no. Yeah. It's pretty much just constant war.
Yeah, but it's too bad about the Ivory Coast, because that's been peaceful for that's a pretty long stretch for Africa, dude. It's like 6-7 years. It was basically at peace. That's a very long time for Africa, dude. But it's popped off again. I don't even know why. I guess it was just time.
It's just, you know what? We've had enough of living. It's time to kill again.
Yeah.
And that's where we're at.
Yeah. So that's Africa. Of course, Namibia I didn't mention, but the Germans control that. Let's be fair. Let's move up here. Russia's happy-go-lucky, and they're doing well and making money, and the Russians are more. I don't know. They're just booming. And don't listen to the media. They're full of shit. The Russians are booming, dude.
Yeah,
and of course, they're fine. And
well, they're also a culture that doesn't value little numbers on a graph going up all the time, constantly over their own people. Now, I'm not talking about their government necessarily. I'm talking about their culture. Yeah. Whereas the West is so greedy and so inundated with greed and this idea of capitalism, blah 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 blah. It's not even capitalism, but we'll call it that. That when we see, like I said, even a little fluctuation in the numbers, everybody acts like it's the end of the damn world. Oh my God, the stock market went down 8 points. Okay.
Yeah, what? Are you a very rich person that hides your money there?
Can you turn your tap on and the water comes out? Oh.
Can you go take a stock shit, market doesn't affect us very much at all.
And you can wipe your butt and actually flush it and not have to throw it away like some kind of savage. Oh, okay. Is there food in your fridge? Good. Yeah. Oh, okay. What are you bitching about? All this bitching. You're living in unbelievable wealth. We don't even realize how wealthy we are.
It's not down anyway. It's way up, dude.
I know. It's all fake anyway. It's all numbers made up by people in a room, and they just decide that you're poor now. Well, you're poor now. Wait a minute.
You're talking about the black pools. That's a real thing.
We did it. We decided. Well, it's all of it is. I mean, if you ask anybody, even a stock trader, to explain the stock market to you, they can't do it because it's nothing. It's a flim flam. It's always been a flim flam ever since day one.
Yeah.
But for some reason, everybody buys into it. It's one of those things. It's kind of like the American dollar, the fiat dollar. It doesn't actually have any value. It's just pay. I mean, as much as the piece of paper that it's made on, that's all the value it's worth. But
No,
everybody
it's
just
a fiat
agrees.
system.
Everybody agrees it has value. And if you
There
don't agree, we send tanks to your house.
that's true. There is one thing that they've done a real good job keeping secret because I don't know the name of it. But
Mhm.
there is a banking system on this planet that is non-reportive, meaning it doesn't report to your country. I don't know what they
Yep.
call it, but it exists. It has to exist because people like the Obamas exist.
Yep.
And all those other, politicians that, go in, the normal people and come out mega rich. There
Yep.
has to be a banking system that doesn't report to governments. I don't know what they call it. I don't know what it is, but therefore they've done a good job keeping that secret.
Well, they
Um,
cover it up with they call it like black money and things like this. But
yeah,
if you look at like the black budgets of America, they're outrageous.
yeah,
They're
but
unbelievable amounts of money.
you know what I mean. There must be a system. But
Yeah, yeah,
they've kept it
absolutely. It's
secret.
probably the system that Elon was talking about on Joe Rogan that he was like, well, I can't touch everything or else they'll kill me. It's probably that one. That's probably the
Well,
one he
and
was
maybe
talking
it
about.
is, yeah, because
Yeah.
whatever that is, they've done a good job with that one. Ukraine, it's kind of the old axiom: stop beating the dead horse,
Yep.
because
Well, they fucked around and now they're
yeah,
finding out.
they are, because every day Russia moves forward, every day.
No, they've won. They're going to
It's
take the whole country
yeah,
now. He wasn't going to originally. I believe him when
no,
he said that.
I
But
still
I
think
think
he
he's like, you know
doesn't
what?
want to.
I might as well now. Might as well now. Might as well not stop now.
Well, you know
Because
what
he
he,
knows what's going to happen. If he doesn't seize control of that territory completely and utterly, they're going to put missiles in there and just start launching them into Russia whenever they want.
yeah,
Because they've already threatened to do it a couple times, and they've done drone strikes, almost killed
right,
him with a drone strike, actually.
a couple
So
times,
yeah, so I don't see any reason why he wouldn't just take. I would in his
yeah,
position. It's like, all
it,
right,
yeah, but that's the same problem with us taking, like, say, British Columbia. Ugh. But you know what he might
well,
do?
here's the good news though is the Ukrainian men are all dead. I just saw a report the other day that Ukraine's never going to recover. Not as
No,
Ukrainian.
they're not.
They're
Yeah,
gone.
that's
They're
true.
done. They've killed off their entire ethnic. It's been an ethnocide by their own government, effectively.
Yeah. Well, you know what might be a way to go, for him? Take Odessa, which I'm sure they will.
Yep.
If they get the whole country, give a little bit to Moldova, give a little bit to Poland because they're chomping at the bit. Give a little
Oh
bit to
yeah.
Belarus, and let everyone
Well, they're
share
already
in
a
the
satellite.
pain. You know
Yep.
what I mean? Maybe
They're
that's what'll
basically already a
happen.
satellite anyway, Belarus. So might as well.
Well, but
Um,
giving that chunk of back to Poland, it could do a lot for positive Russian Polish relationships. Actually,
yeah. No, which would be good because eh, there's a lot of bad blood there. Holy
there
crap! You
is
want about some bad blood? Woo,
maybe
boy,
maybe we can
that
get a
goes
little bit
deep.
to Romania.
That goes real deep. The
It
bad blood
does.
there, even well before the Soviet Union. These groups do not like each other much.
No, of course Europe is well, we all know it's a hot mess. Britain is literally collapsing, and it's sad because we might lose Britain, dude. And that's how
Yeah, we'll
bad it
probably
is.
have to invade them, and
Yeah, like
because they got
Sweden.
nukes.
We've
We can't be letting these people have nukes. It's just that
No,
simple.
because
Like
that
the
would be a
neocons are right about that. I'll
yeah,
give them
they are
that.
right
We
about
cannot
that.
let these people have these
That's
nukes.
true. Of course, Sweden is lost, but it is a hot mess.
Well,
Oh,
you know what? I say that, but we might be able to. Sorry, I keep interrupting, but we might be able to have that if this Golden Dome works. If he gets that Golden Dome built, you hear about Trump's Golden
yeah,
Dome
no, I know.
policy?
Yeah,
He gets
everything's
that
gold.
built because I've said for years, yeah, because it's Trump. I've said for years that the only reason why we haven't seen a real proper kickoff war between the big guys in 80 years or whatever it's been now is because the threat of nuclear war, right? Mutually assured destruction, blah 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 blah. But the moment that's no longer a threat, it's going to be party time. And anybody who thinks otherwise is kidding themselves. Uh, America's been too much of a bully for too long. And, there's forces in Russia right now, today, that would love to start a war with America if they could.
Oh no, absolutely.
Um, the Chinese are not much different. They just know they get stomped in any open conflict. So, because they always do. Uh, so, um, the only thing that's really keeping these sorts of things from getting too hot is the threat of nuclear exchange. If we do come up with something that can just negate that, going to be a very different world very quickly.
Yeah.
Very, very quickly.
It is. But moving over to the Americas, Argentina is doing really well. That Milei guy, he's been very
Well, like
successful.
I said,
Good for
that
him.
that liberalism, that libertarian, whatever you want to call it, free market
Yeah, just
idea, it
open free
works.
markets. Yeah.
It
Um,
works to build, but it is not sustainable because
yeah.
eventually you have to put a kibosh on this desire of it to devour everything. It's a fire. You light it and it'll burn away the corruption and it'll burn away poverty.
Yep.
It'll burn away all this bullshit. But then you have to put it out or else it'll burn you too.
Yeah. Brazil is a chaotic socialist, cesspool, and controlled by a dictator. So it could be what it be. What's the middle ones there? Paraguay and Bolivia are they even really countries? I mean,
No,
honestly.
they only exist because we permit them to. Let's be
Yeah.
honest.
Chile has so much earthquake and that kind of infrastructural problem, which is a shame because their government is a pretty good one. But they just have so much infrastructural
A beautiful
problems.
place too.
It
Chile.
is.
Beautiful
It
place.
is unfortunate. Venezuela, of course, is an absolute socialist cesspool. Colombia, yeah, don't go there.
Don't go to Colombia.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Mesoamerica, stay out. I mean, in general, why would you go there?
Well,
Although
some people like to go to like Costa Rica and stuff, but I don't know. It just seems like it's a
hot, it
beach.
seems hot.
It's a hot beach. I got hot beaches in America. I'm
Go to
good.
Bermuda.
Yeah, yeah. Go to the islands. I mean, those are dirty, but still, it's still not just a hot beach.
That's true. Or go to Myrtle Beach.
But also,
That's a nice one.
just go to the Keys if you really want that experience, but
Yeah,
not
yeah.
to get shot or
Yeah.
eaten. Just
Yeah.
go to the Keys.
Yeah.
Go to the Florida Keys.
You know what would be nice if we could get the complete collapse of the Cuban government and turn that back into what it was back in, the 70s, 60s. That was
Yeah,
actually
an
a fun
American
place,
satellite
man.
state.
It was great, yeah. But Mexico, well, it's Mexico.
Yeah,
Canada
they'll
is
never get their
becoming
act together.
Mexico, so
Well, they
Um,
already know Mexicans, so it
and
checks out.
then us.
Then us. Well, we're not in much better straits, to be honest.
No,
We just happen to have a president who seems to actually give a shit. Whether you like the man or not, you can't tell me he doesn't care about what he talks about when he literally went in there and scolded another world leader. When was the last time you've seen a world leader scolded
yeah,
by
no,
another
dude.
world leader?
That
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 doesn't happen.
that whole thing with Ramaphosa was I'd never seen such a thing.
Yep.
Let me see what the chat here has to say. I'm going to ignore Alan because he's being dirty. Persians have tacky taste. Well, so do the
Well, they're
Baltic Slavic
yeah,
peoples, dude.
they're
Let's be fair.
come on now.
Gaudy, they are gaudy. You're right. We three kings be sleeping the gold. That's fair enough. China is cool. They make excellent affordable electric guitars. They just sent me an electric skateboard too. Sweet. Okay. My Sicilian great grandmother was in the mafia before he moved to Philadelphia. Grandfather, I see. Moved to the Philippines.
I
Well,
mean,
that's a place to go, I guess.
most of them were.
Yeah. Especially
my
Sicily.
my wife's family back in the day, they're Irish Americans. You know, when Irish mob was a big deal. They ran Shine with the Kennedys because
Sure.
we all love the Kennedy family, sure, right? Americans are royalty. Yeah, it's really
America's
good PR.
number one
They're a
criminal
crime
family.
family. Yes, they've always been a crime family. They're not probably not anymore, but that's how they got their money was crime
sure.
and selling dope and selling booze and selling guns. Like that's how they did it, folks.
It is how
They did not come up clean.
Yeah. That is very, very true. Actually, my uncle, after World War One, he was in Italy, and he actually married a Colombo.
Oh no.
Yeah. Yeah. No problem, and never any connection to them whatsoever. But that is kind of interesting. Trump.
I bet he never heard the end of it either because these fucking Italians
I
and
don't know.
Christopher Columbus.
I don't know.
Oh my God.
Trump cornered that dude for sure. He did. Now, when has the
I mean, he
media
deserves
ever
it.
told the truth? No. Well, he did. No, he definitely. Because keep in mind, no matter what that asshole says, and look what he did, right? He said, yes, it is a problem. I don't agree with it, but this problem is we need more money. How many tens of billions? I know I can think of at least a couple hundred billion just off the top of my head that they've been given in the past 30 years. Where's
Could
that
you
money?
imagine where America would be if we stopped funding the world?
It would be
Just for a
well, that's
second,
what
just
Trump's
for
trying to do,
5
dude.
years. Give me 5 years where we keep all of our money,
Yeah.
we stop funding the whole world, let them all figure their own shit out for a while, and then we'll hear endless weeping and gnashing of teeth as the liberals cry about everybody's gonna starve. Well, that's not our problem.
Well, it's all coming out
Figure
of
it out.
it's all coming out of the Monroe Doctrine. And what Trump is doing is saying, okay, well, that's enough of that. Let's balance our
Yep.
trade and get back to it as normal. That's all he's doing.
Let's
But
go back to pre-World War
yeah,
II and do what we did
yeah,
then when we became the wealthiest economy in the world, and we were the only ones poised to actually make money after the war, or at least any kind of real money, uh, was because we had a strong production base, we had a strong tariff system, we had a strong economy. We actually had a strong, believe it or not, lefties, I'll throw you a bone. We had one of the strongest, what was effectively a minimum wage and security nets in the whole world in this
well,
country in the
effectively,
50s.
yeah.
Um,
But it also puts the kibosh on all these idiots that say, America, I hate it. It's just an imperialistic society. It's imperialistic. If we were
okay.
imperialist, we would not have rebuilt this planet. We would have just conquered it. What the hell
Yeah,
is wrong with you, you dumbass? The proof is in the pudding, dude.
we should have, if I'm being
Well,
honest with you. Pax Americana worldwide, Chester. That's what we should have did. Just took the world because we tried to do it, through fiduciary means with the American dollar, and for the most part, it worked. But it doesn't benefit us, and by us I mean Americans.
mhm.
There's very little great benefit to your average everyday American living in small towns or in the heartland of America to this bullshit. Whereas if we were actually imperialist, that wouldn't be the case. The average Roman citizen lived very well when they were doing things properly in Rome. When they
Yeah,
started to shift it up and started to, do basically very similar things to what we do now, where they pay foreigners to do all the work, that's when everything started to fall apart for them, and
sure.
they had all sorts of issues and problems.
Yeah. Alan says Cuba needs to be thrown back to the 40s or 50s. Yeah, they would be well better off. They used to be a hot spot, dude. People used to love go down to Havana, man.
They're practically living in them still, so wouldn't be that big of a change.
For the most part. But I mean, if they got rid of that nonsense and just went back to the way they were, they would become mega wealthy really quickly. Really quickly.
Yep.
Maple Chic says R.I.P. Peter David.
Apparently, Peter David passed.
Who's Peter David?
The writer.
What did he write?
I don't remember. I know the name. I don't remember. Google him. Hit him with a Google search.
Okay.
We have all the world's information right at your fingertips.
We do. Anyway, there's my geography for the week, people.
All right, almost done, Chester. There was a lot of dishes. I didn't realize there was that many dishes.
A prolific writer, it says.
So prolific, you never heard of him.
No, Peter Allen David. I don't know the name, but I've certainly read the comic books, dude. Incredible
Yeah.
Hulk, Aquaman, Young Justice, Spy Boy, Supergirl, Fallen Angel, Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2099, which I loved. Captain Marvel,
Oh yeah.
X Factor. Yeah, that dude was a dude.
I still don't understand why, in their push for diversity, they couldn't just give us a proper Spider-Man 2099 series.
That would
That
be
would have been
nice.
great
That would have been
on Disney
fun.
Plus.
Well, I mean, Marvel has all kind of diversity. They have every color of Jew.
Yes, they do.
Yeah. So
Ooh.
it's all good. But a lot, including Incredible Hulk. He wrote Spider-Man 2099, I think. Yeah, he did, and I love that series. So yeah, rest in peace, Mr. David. Looks like he was a pretty old guy. Just the picture I was looking at, so it looks like he had a long life, which is definitely good. But
Rest in peace, sir. You created one of the only good Spider-Man ripoffs. Spider-Man spin-offs? We'll call them a spin-off. Spider-Man spin-offs to ever be.
yeah, I should teach a
Or at least
uh,
you wrote
I,
for them.
I should teach a college class on modern geopolitics. I think.
Oh, God. Oh, no. The world's not ready, Chester. They're not ready.
Well, I
They're
just
not
went
ready.
through from the top of my head the entire planet, did I not?
Just about. You didn't get all the Samoan
Oh, I'm
areas, the
sorry. I
islands.
left out the frickin' Pacific Islanders and the Mongolians.
Yeah. Yeah. How dare you? They are
Yeah.
Mongolian. I like the Mongolians though. They're a hardy people.
They have a giant
And it,
statue to Kublai Khan, and they think it's Genghis. I don't know about
well,
that.
I didn't say they were smart people. I said they
Fair.
were a hardy people.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, it's all fallen though. They've got all those sinkholes that are happening all across the Mongolian plain there east of the Altai. So
Yep.
they get fallen in holes.
They're also extremely good sumo wrestlers for some reason.
They
They're
are.
incredible at it.
Well, they
Yeah.
have a tradition of wrestling. To be fair, they do have
Yeah,
a
they're
long
hardy people.
tradition. They
Well, I
oil
like them.
themselves up and then they try to throw each other to the ground.
Yes, sir. I like them thick boys. And the Mongolians are thick boys.
Uh-oh.
They get in there, they get dirty,
They
and they
do.
get out.
They do.
That's how they do it.
They are big people.
They also sing with their throat for some reason.
They do.
I don't know why, but they do. It sounds
Yeah.
utterly unsettling, but it's amazing.
Unless you put a hip hop beat behind it, then it's pretty cool.
Well, there's also a couple bands that I like that's what they're Mongolian bands, but they're like heavy metal. It sounds pretty good to that too.
Snoop Dogg has announced that he too has black fatigue.
I mean, his best friend is a old white woman, so I don't deny it. I don't doubt it one bit.
Yeah. Just it's a shift. But yeah, no, I that could turn into something. That could turn into something hot though, dude. Because of course the people who are being said by including lots of black people that we're sick and tired of you, they're not going to say, "Oh, sorry, dude." They're going to push back. They
Well,
already
I've been
are.
saying this for years, and some smart folks have listened, but most of them don't. The only reason they're allowed to get away with the nonsense they're allowed to get away with is the unbelievable amount of propaganda towards white people
Yeah.
for how evil and racist and bigoted their ancestors were, or they are, or whoever, whatever way they want to aim it. Which created this ridiculous white guilt, as if we have anything to feel guilty for.
Well, it is
I
weird.
didn't do it.
Yeah, no, it's
But nobody else
definitely
has
the
it.
progressive Karens are the ones that have caused the problem. That's for sure.
Nobody else has it. None of the other brown people have it. The Hispanics, the Latinos, the other black people, the Arabs, the Asians. Nobody else gives a shit about your whining about something that happened 150 years before you were born. They don't care.
Yeah.
They simply don't care. Could you imagine if the Chinese, I mean, some of them do, but most of them don't. They're just out here building businesses, making millions of dollars in America. That's what they do. That's their revenge. They succeed. But could you imagine if all of them had this whiny grievance about the Chinese Americans, about the railroads and all the bullshit that happened to them? Like, no, they don't care.
Well, everyone
They got
can
money to
have a
make.
piece of that pie if they want it, dude.
They got
I mean,
money to
let's be
make, is
fair.
my point. There's money to be made. America, the only color that matters in America, whether you like it or not, is green. It's the only color that's ever mattered, and the Chinese figured it out very quickly. And that's why they don't give a shit.
Oh,
The only ones who haven't figured it out, for some reason, as a community, are the black Americans. Now, some of them have, and they're the ones who get the fuck out of there
Well,
and go hang out with the white people.
You got black people who are just American, and then you have ghetto. That's the thing. Everyone's kind of using this black fatigue thing. I don't know if it's the right term. I would go with ghetto fatigue, to be honest with you.
Well, there's another term, but
Yeah, but I mean that's fine. But that's just putting fuel on the fire, right?
Well, yes, except Chester. Even when I was growing up, that word never used to mean just
no.
black person.
But I get you. But it does put fuel on the fire. Whereas
Everybody's got theirs. Every race, every
sure.
color, every creed has their own version of it. White trash exists. It's all around.
It does.
The Asians have the Chinese, like the rural Chinese, and other groups.
Well, it's really the old people. The old people are the worst in China, dude. That Mao, they call them the lost generation. They're awful. Yeah.
I don't know. Who's the Japanese trash? There's got to be somebody in their culture that they're like, nah.
No, well, there probably used to be, but they've become so.
Oh, they killed them all.
They've become the Japanese have turned themselves into the most vanilla society on the planet, dude. They have.
Where does it fill?
There's just nothing now. Um, I guess if we're going to apply anything, maybe the weird furry maid girls, maybe, but
Mm.
that's really more of a hobby. But yeah, no, they used to, but now they
Didn't there used to
vanillicize
be? I don't
themselves.
know. Obviously, I have no idea, but didn't there used to be a very large stigma on young women who were unmarried, hadn't passed a certain age in Japan, or is
Well,
that
Asia,
something that I was lied to
just
about?
Asia. Yeah, it's still, yeah, it hasn't changed. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No,
Well,
that's
get
an
married, bitches.
Asian thing.
You work from me.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's actually probably a good thing because we see what happens when we let them be harpies.
That could be true, Booster. Yeah, no, no, no. Every society has that to some degree or another. Um, it's just in the South, in the West, we're in a serious level of decline when it comes to male-female relations. But yeah, in general. But no, the Japanese don't really have that anymore. Maybe in the future. Um, Maple Chic says, "I got white liver women fatigue," and we've all had that forever, dude. Um, for sure. Let me see what else we got here. Ghetto fatigue is more appropriate. I think it's more accurate. Um, yeah, and Booster thinks we're going to get canceled. Well, join the club, dude.
It wouldn't be the first time I
No,
have gotten this channel knocked off
he has.
midstream a couple times.
He has.
Somehow Grimlock does it. He comes in here and drops all the words, all of them
Well, for
that you're
some
not supposed to
reason,
say,
the
and they don't
algorithm
care.
knows. It knows. There must be some voice detector or something that can hear the blackness in him. They must have that technology, I guess. But yeah, whatever. But no, I mean, of course, every society has their troublemakers. Matter of fact, statistically, about 20% of any society makes up the entirety of the society's woes.
Yep,
So, I mean, it
give or
is what
take.
it
Yep.
is, and the smaller that percentage of that 20% becomes, the more vile and dangerous and deadly that trouble becomes
And
as well.
here's the rub to that. So then you think, well, okay, so the other 80% is fine. No, the other 50% is fine. Then you have the bastards, I call them, Chester. I call these the bastards.
Yes.
And they make up anywhere between 5 and 20%, depending on your culture and the time frame that you're looking. America has had periods where it's been many of them. Typically, the people who went west, young man, they were the bastards. And America was the country was a country of bastards at the start, anyway. Well, at least the settlers were. But every so often, what had happened is that bottom 20%, well, we say bottom, sometimes they're very wealthy. That 20% of degenerates who don't care about anything but themselves and don't care if they hurt other people to get what they want have to get dealt with. And that's the turning point of every country in the world. That's the turning point. They either what?
Making the pop that I wanted.
It's Coke. Anyway, that's the turning point of that country, whether they survive and thrive or not. And if you can handle your bastards, or I mean, I'm sorry, if you can handle your pieces of shit, your trash, and deal with them, and let your bastards do what they were designed to do in your society's immune system, which is handle them, then you're fine. And we had this problem in America on numerous occasions, but definitely during the what people call the Wild West. Near the end of it,
Mhm.
basically the way the government solved this problem is they just sent out a bunch of bastards that they deputized to kill them or arrest them, and
Oh
that was
yeah,
it. That's how it got handled.
Marshall program, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, no, it is kind of interesting, and I'm curious what manner of responsibility Ice Cube
Exactly.
takes because I'm actually I am literally the hip hop generation, literally, right?
Yeah.
But when hip hop and rap came
You're
out,
probably
it
about the same age as Ice Cube, I'd imagine.
I imagine I am. But black don't crack. But it was, when that first came out, man, it was fun. It was colorful. Everyone was welcome. It wasn't a black thing at all. At all. Right? I mean, that's how you get Vanilla Ice because it wasn't
Mhm.
racially segregated. Right? But it changed with a one little group called NWA.
Yep.
Ice Cube, right?
Well, it changed because the people in power wanted it to change. They
I'm
wanted to
just saying
cause
that was
strife
the
and
that
division.
was the pivot point. And it went from fun, fun, fun. Everyone's involved. It's basically a dance party. Everybody come on down. We're singing about hamburgers and all kind of things like that, right? To fuck the police, right?
Well, I mean,
And
I agree.
well, no, let me finish my thought because here's the thing: for many years now, Ice Cube has been pushing back against black fatigue. He
Mhm.
has serious black fatigue. And
Well,
he and
obviously, yeah.
he's been pushing and trying to make statements about, hey, this isn't what we need to be doing, and he's really been pushing it back against it. Now, I wonder if
Mhm.
how he feels. It probably is, but I wonder if there's any guilt involved with it because he certainly was part of what started that shit.
Well, I'd imagine that's one of the reasons he left the old NWA.
Yeah,
Um, but I don't know. You'd have to ask him. I have no idea. But no, he's a highly intelligent man.
he is. He's
He
capable.
always was. He was kind of really, honestly, the main reason that group was successful. Nobody wants to admit it, but it's the truth. Uh, and Mr. Cube, as we call him, I think his last name's Jackson. Actually, I'm pretty sure his name's O'Shea Jackson
Sounds
is his
about
real
right.
name. Mr. Jackson definitely has. I mean, he's been very clear that he's been trying to elevate his community, as he would call it, for a very long time through various programs and companies and what have you. And I think a lot of the guys who got to a level like his, or have gotten to a level like his, do the same thing. Snoop Dogg does the same thing too. Everybody thinks that Snoop's just a stoner, and he is largely, but he does other things too. And you'll see a lot of these guys who have this same history, we'll call it, who have done that. Now, not all of them have, of course, but that's usually how it happens, right? I
Mhm.
would say, going back to my analogy, Cube's a bastard. Cube's a bastard, man. Because here's why he's a bastard. He's belligerent, and he's smart, and he's capable. Those three things aren't usually together, right? Usually a smart person isn't belligerent. They're not. Very smart people are very easy to deceive. They're the easiest, actually. They're super easy to trick. The smarter the person, the easier they are to trick because they know they're smart. So they think it's hard to trick them. This is why cults are usually made up of intelligent people or people who are, far more intelligent than your average person because they're easy to trick. They're easy to manipulate. Dumb people are much harder to manipulate unless they're like, like drooling dumb. But average, maybe a little bit below average. They're much harder to control and to coerce unless you can just do so straight up materially. Like if you don't do this, you'll starve. Well, then yeah. But that problem we've largely solved in the world, right? Hunger isn't as big of an issue as it was even 15 years ago, which is a good thing. And so that's getting harder and harder to do. My point is, I think Cube is one of these bastard men, and I think what we're seeing now is we're seeing a wave of the bastards coming up. The men that, in normal circumstances, you don't want necessarily in polite society, right? You put them over here and let them do whatever they do, and you leave them alone, right? You just leave them alone. Everything's fine. But occasionally, this is what the superhero kind, the vigilante is in our society, in like culture, in the narrative version, the fictional version. Occasionally, you're gonna have to turn to the bastards and let them handle. Trump's a bastard. Trump is absolutely a bastard man. Elon's a bastard. These men, normally under normal circumstances, would just be building vast financial empires or what have you. They'd be doing their thing, having their family, and everybody would be fine. That's what
Mhm.
they were doing.
Yeah.
But when you keep fucking around, eventually you get their attention because you become a problem to them. And once you're a problem to them, now you're a problem, and they got to deal with you. And
Yeah.
I think Cube might be is very similar to that. He's not the
Yeah.
type of guy who's just going to shut up and go along with things just because it makes him money. He's proven that repeatedly
Yeah.
over his career. He
Well,
just won't do it.
I was just pointing out the shift because
Yep.
before that you had Heavy D, overweight lover. Love it.
Mhm.
And then we went to Straight Outta Compton, right?
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying the NWA didn't have catchy stuff because they did, but that was pure hate, buddy, pure hate.
Yeah.
And it started this gangster rap, and where we are now, I mean, it's so degenerate, dude. It's
Well, it didn't
so
start it, but
degenerate.
it mainstreamed it. I think. I think they broke through because it was already around, but it wasn't like it became.
Yeah,
I grew up on
maybe in
that.
certain
I grew up on
places.
I grew up on gangster rap, hardcore. It was huge in the mid
Yeah,
'90s.
I
Huge.
didn't. Because I grew up around plenty of black dudes, man, and it was none of that nonsense. They were just dudes.
They
Just
still
dudes.
are, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Believe it or not. It's it's when you get certain groups of them. The problem the black community has had, I've said this for a long time, and even Grimlock has said this. They don't police their own like they're supposed to. You see, that's what the bastard is. He's the police force of your community. He's the one who's supposed to come in and do the work that the normals don't want to do because it's a little dirty, a little mean. They don't want to be mean. They don't want to hurt their feelings. Bastard don't care. He don't give a shit. Uh, so they come in and they act as the white blood cells and get rid of the infection. What had happened is their community hasn't had that corrective mechanism because largely thanks to, as Malcolm X correctly pointed out, the white liberal coming in to save them
Yeah.
from their plight of poverty and
Yeah.
evil, racist, white man
He got
bad
one thing right.
situation. Well, he got quite a few things right. He just
Yeah.
had a very interesting way of delivering it. Regardless, because of this, because Daddy Government has been there to help them, what they haven't had and what is they're starting to come back to, Ice Cube's a good example, there's plenty of others, is they haven't had an actual patriarchal force within their community to do the correcting. That's Daddy's job. Daddy comes in, Daddy
And they
don't want to
have a problem
bother.
with that. Yeah.
Daddy's got stuff to do. Daddy's got, he's got things to do, or he just wants to chill out. He doesn't want to have to come beat your ass, but he will. He'll do it. He will
Yeah.
do it.
83% of the black community has no father in the house. So there you go.
Yes, yes. And I think you're starting to
That's an
see,
insane number, by the way. That's
even
like
among, it is an insane number. That's like
no,
grand
that's
famine numbers. That's
yeah, it's
outrageous.
like that's worse than any post-war number you can think of.
Yes. No, it needs
It's really
correcting.
bad. Yeah.
It needs correcting. And I think it's starting to correct. I see videos all the time, even of black women, attractive black women actually. And they're giving these talks. And they're having like these town hall meetings and stuff and these whatever they are. And they'll have a couple black guys and they'll have a couple women and they're just trying to reach these people. It's not a religious thing necessarily. They're just trying to reach these, typically young black women
Yeah.
and get their head right. Because one of the reasons you don't see this is because of the black men they have no interest in dealing with their bullshit. That's just what it is. Because they've become so dependent on either government or they can do it themselves. They're independent. Okay, well, nobody wants to deal with that all the time, right? Nobody wants to deal with constantly being told you're not needed.
Ever?
Well, you know what I mean. You'll put up. Some men will put up with it for a little while.
No.
Especially,
I
if he's getting laid, he's got a nice clean house, maybe he's got some kids. He's like, all right. He'll let it go. But eventually, you're done with it, and I think that's been one of the main problems. But because there's been no accountability among them, and the black man has accountability too, they should still take care of their fucking kids. Because there hasn't been any accountability to that whole community for so long.
Yeah.
That's why all of this is happening. And the only way it's going to get corrected is the people in there correcting it. It didn't used to be like this. And I do think it's starting to correct. Like I said, I see these videos of these people talking about it. I watched this black girl gets up and she gets this microphone in her hand and she asks this panel of other black people. I don't know what this thing was. I saw it on Facebook. She asked this panel of other black people basically how she can get her boyfriend or whatever he is, husband, to get over the fact that she cheated on him.
Yeah, how about never?
And the way she says it, there's zero remorse at all in her voice.
Oh,
You
yeah,
can just
we
tell.
see that a lot. We see
Not
that
at
a
all
lot.
does she
Well,
care
dude,
what she did.
look at what old Big Mike has been doing.
I know she's been burying.
Dude, she is putting that laundry out for everyone to see. She's talking about what men she wants to have sex with. I mean, it just shows her character. It came out, didn't it? Didn't take long.
Yep. And then what happens is this girl, one of the women who answers this young lady, I'll use that word loosely, just calls her on it, said, where's your, there's no accountability in you at all, is there? Like, you're not even sorry for what you did. Why should he have to get over that? What, you should be groveling at his feet, begging for his forgiveness. until he gives it to you or leaves. None of this attitude, this ego you've got here. And the woman was just completely aghast because how dare she basically, you know, tell her that she's being a complete piece of shit, basically in very nice words. And that attitude is ubiquitous among
Well,
these people. I mean, that's why you see all these videos on these planes and wherever or in airports of them causing all this trouble because they genuinely think
they're
they're
superior.
allowed. Yeah,
They're
they have a
superior.
superiority. They have
Well,
it's weird. They have an inferiority complex that they mask with a superiority complex. It's
well,
very weird.
men and women are different, right?
Hmm.
And we react to things differently, and both of them can be good and bad. That's not the argument, right? But the with the female though, with women, there is a bit of a problem that doesn't
Hmm.
really exist with men in the same way. And it's
Hmm.
this: if a woman is allowed to get away with something, she will always continue to do so.
Yep.
There will
Yep.
never be accountability if there is if there is no accountability put to her.
That's
Men tend to have, well, I mean, put it straight, more fear in them, right? Of
it's because of violence.
That's right, violence, reciprocation, and all kind of
Yep.
things. But if you in that situation where if she cheats on you and you forgive her, you're done. You are done.
Yep.
She will do it again, no matter what. And she'll be tearful about it. She won't know why, but you're done. That unfortunately, that's the reality. If you have a woman who has so little responsibility that she does this anyway, then
Mhm.
you need to leave. Now, if you're in a situation where you're part of the problem, well, then you should leave anyway, right?
Right.
I mean, plain and simple. This is one of those things because men and women are different in good and bad ways, right?
Yes.
And this is one of the ones. That's a kind of problem with women. If they're allowed to get away with it, they will continue doing it. It's
Well, here's
just the reality.
it's interesting you say that because I was just saying this the other night. I saw this video from this guy. He said he's got this YouTube channel. I don't remember his name now. This was a couple months ago, but he has this YouTube channel that basically he's like a relationship counselor and da 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 da. That's what he does, right? And he straight said he's been doing this for like 25, 30
Yeah.
years. And if the problem is with the woman, if it's her issue, like she's got some kind of character flaw that's causing these, because it's two-way street, sure, but if the woman has an issue, your marriage is over.
Yeah,
It's
it's true.
over. And the reason it's over isn't because she's a bad person or because you failed. No, no. It's because until she's able to fix that problem, your marriage it's done. It's
It is
done.
done.
And
It
women
is done.
won't.
No, they
Women
won't.
will not fix the problem.
Yeah.
And he said that straight out right onto YouTube. He said he'd been doing this for a long time. And if a marriage can be saved, the man has to do the work, and it
Yep.
has to be work he can fix.
That's right.
Meaning it has to be something that can be fixed by him. If he can't fix it, it's over.
Yeah.
It's over.
Well, and I think what it comes down to, because we all know there's men and bad men, good women and bad women. We know this. This isn't a
Yeah.
gendered thing. It's not. But built into men, you have this build the infrastructure gene, right?
Hmm.
And it's what we do.
Build.
It will build for the mother. It's all about the mother, right?
Hmm.
And seeing as any woman could be a mother, that they tend to benefit from it in general, right?
Yep.
But that that kind of basic responsibility allows for a man to try to repair the damage he's done, to try to fix and actually change himself. It's the potential is more readily there than it is with a woman. And I really think it has a lot to do with fear, and I think it has to do with that builder gene that's in the dudes, right?
Probably.
And
Yep.
it just is what it is. So that guy's statement is 100% true. It's 100% true.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
I mean, he wasn't. He had no reason to lie about it. He was
yeah,
just being honest.
and
He was telling and I think his channel, at least that channel, wasn't. It wasn't like he was focused on just men. He was just saying like, yeah,
it is
in
what
my
it is.
experience,
Yeah,
it is what it is.
and it's a genetic thing, and we all know there's plenty of bad dudes, and that's not the point. It's not the point.
Yep.
Um, we're talking about a guy who is remorseful and wants to do better. He
But here's the
has
crazy thing.
a better chance of
It goes even.
succeeding than a woman in the same
You're
situation.
completely correct. it goes even further because we always say, there's these axioms that we have where a woman controls access to sex, man controls access to a relationship, at
To
least in a
marriage,
normal
yeah, for
functioning
sure.
society. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, a relationship, a real one. Uh, well, that is a double-edged sword, gentlemen, because that means it's your responsibility.
It
The whole
always
thing's your
is.
responsibility. Yeah, the whole thing's your responsibility. So if you pick a woman who either some women can correct, but if it's a deep problem, like a core personality thing with her, that she just whatever it is, it could be pick anything, and it clashes with you. If you can't change yours and then just tolerate hers, it's over. Because she can't she can, but she probably won't. It's very rare. He said it was like maybe 4% of the cases
Yeah.
he's ever seen where the woman could actually sit down, get down into the nitty-gritty and get the psychological or whatever you want, the spiritual, whatever work she needed to do
Yeah.
to fix herself, to heal.
Yeah.
Women, and what's crazy is how many of these women will tell men all the time, "You need therapy, bitch. You need an exorcism. How about that? All
Yeah.
right. It's not that you need therapy. It's that therapy clearly doesn't work, or at least on the vast majority of cases, because around 60% of the populace has been in or is in therapy right now, and these problems still are pervasive and they're everywhere. I
Yeah.
know people personally who take their children and take themselves to therapy all the time, and guess what? Problems aren't solved. They're still a mess.
Sure.
That's
And
interesting.
and I
Funny
think
how that works.
and I think that's the reason why so many men are frustrated and we're having this literal separation from the woman going on in the West. Because I don't live in that world, right? Um, but it's because men know instinctively down in our gut that in the end, it doesn't matter who's at fault. We are the ones that have to fix it. It's always
Yes,
true. It'll always be true. And quite often, you have to fix things that aren't your fault.
that's right.
Sometimes it is your fault, but whatever it is, in the end, men always are the ones that are going to have to clean it up. It's always true. And men know this instinctively. This is something a woman couldn't possibly understand, right?
Right.
I don't know. I think it's a genetic thing, to be honest with you, dude. It's
It
something
could be.
deep in the genome. But and therefore it really frustrates men because they're getting blamed for all kind of shit that they have. One, they're not doing, and two, they have zero control over.
Yes. The vast, Alan says over here, he hears most therapists need therapy. Most therapists that I've ever known have
Yeah,
a therapist of their own. If that
yeah, and they
doesn't
do.
tell you
They
something,
do.
he
It's a
thinks it's a scam.
racket, buddy.
It's not that it's fully a scam. There is benefit to talk therapy, but you know what we used to call that? A
Friends.
friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, just have some
Go get a
friends, guy. It's
friend.
not. It's go make some friends. I know it gets harder as you get older. I get that. I understand, but then make a friend with yourself. For some reason, Chester, see, there used to be in our society, we didn't used to demonize people who were like this, but for some reason it's become a stigma of these people who I'm not saying you need to go out in public and do this, but who basically talk to and at themselves. That's perfectly normal behavior in all of Western society back thousands of years. We have whole plays and books and things written about people who are doing this. That's what the story effectively is. Uh, there's nothing wrong with that because what you're doing is you're talking to yourself. Now, there's ways it can be crazy, but you're talking to yourself to try and figure yourself out. And the way we understand ourselves, the way we understand everything is through language, is through communication, is through words. And if you can't articulate it to yourself, how the fuck are you going to articulate it to some guy who's got a bunch of letters after his name that you
Yeah.
don't know, this
Yeah.
stranger?
No. Look, I'm going to stand on this hill. Psychiatry is complete bunk.
It is.
It is complete bunk. They
Yeah,
can't even define nor find nor medically prove that lunacy is real. They can't.
that's right.
They have no evidence. They have nothing. We know it's real, but they ain't got it
We can
because the
see it.
science isn't there.
I think they're just possessed by demons.
It might be. It could just be.
Yeah,
We'll
I'm
just
going
blame the
with the
demons.
demons. Listen,
Old school, baby.
listen. We've been thinking about demons and demon possession a long time. I'm starting to think we just had it right the first time. We knocked that
Maybe.
out of the park.
Maybe.
We were like, nah, that's a demon. That person's got a demon in him. That's what's wrong with
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, maybe. But anyway, let's see what I have for offer today, shall we?
Let's do it.
All righty. First of all, let's start out here, shall we?
We're starting out right here. Hang on, give me 1 second. Let me load it up. Let me load it up. Wait, where is it?
Okay.
There it is. What's going on? Why is
Sure.
it? Discord, did you change things again?
They
Stop
must
changing
have.
things, Discord.
I have.
All right. Oh, yes. Mission Impossible. I need to go see this.
I went and
Mission
watched it this
Impossible
weekend.
Final Reckoning. Did you like it?
Well, first time I've been in the movies in 5 years. I have to say, my
Nice.
wife and I were very happy to be in the theater again. So that,
Okay.
first of all, that it was just fun. And the theater wasn't super packed, but it did have a bunch of people in it. I ate popcorn and drank a soda.
Oh my gosh.
Well, it's about the only
Was
place
it
I
a,
drink soda, really.
was it a zero sugar soda or were
It,
you a
it
sugar degenerate?
no, it was Diet Coke because it tastes better.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Um,
That's good.
but uh, but it's about the
You don't
only
need all
place
that
I drink
sugar.
soda
You don't
actually
need
is
all
at the
that
movie
sugar.
theater. How can I respond to this movie? We're going to look at the box office here later, of course. But it's fine.
Just fine.
Yeah. It's one of those movies that you really don't want to think about it too much.
Well, yeah,
Um,
I mean, yeah, that makes sense.
and it's the plot is very forced. It's definitely got wokeness, but it's not beating you in the head with it, but it definitely does. Of course, you have Angela Bassett, 66, still banging, baby. Damn. Anyway, it's insinuated not once but twice that she is definitely a lesbian. And there's a little bit of that, but it's not. It's just there. It's not banging you in the head. The people who are really get upset about that stuff are going to be upset, and the people who are for it are going to say there's not enough. So you're going to have that going on.
Yeah.
I'm indifferent. It's kind of dumb, but the plot is super far forced though. However, with that said, Tom is being Tom.
Doing Tom things.
He's doing Tom stuff.
Yeah.
The I'm not going to give any spoilers whatsoever, but the submarine scene section of the movie is probably the best underwater scene I've ever seen, as far as getting it right. It felt like you were underwater, and you know how
Hmm.
hard that is to pull off, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they did a great job with that. That was a great scene. It had some good action pieces. Unfortunately, it didn't really have the Mission Impossible team doing the techie Mission Impossible thing. It kind of did, but not really. And so it didn't feel like a Mission Impossible movie, to be fair. But
Mm-hmm.
like I said, it's fine. It's certainly worth to go sit in the theater and enjoy it. It's a bit long, but it has some good action scenes in it. It has one callback in it, which I'm not going to spoil. It's freaking awesome. It made me happy. I smiled. I smiled. Now it was really cool. It was a very very cool thing. Of course, I don't know what's going on with Mr. Vin Rames, but because as far as I know, he's still alive, but I don't think he's going to be alive for very long, dude. He looks very bad. He looks really bad.
Well, he's got to be getting old.
He's same as age as Angela, 66. Vin Rames. But he really doesn't look good.
For a large
He's got
black
some kind
man,
of
that's
sickness.
pretty old.
Yeah, no, I get you. I get you. But I've always liked him. He's been in every
Yeah,
Mission
me too.
Impossible movie, by the way.
It,
The only,
he's just,
only, yeah, the only spoiler I'll give is this:
oh,
they said that this was the last movie, the Final Reckoning. They
yes.
left it
That's how they
open.
marketed it.
They left it open.
Yeah, I figured they would. Here's what because I've heard the same thing. I heard actually from our friend, the Canadian friend Maple Chic. He went and saw it as well.
Yeah.
And I asked him, I just straight asked him, does he die at the end of it? And he's like, well, you kind of answered that anyway. But so if they're gonna keep going, what I think they should do is if they're not going to retire the character of Ethan Hunt because there's no reason to, they don't need to reboot. They need to bring it back down to basics and have Ethan be leading the IMF,
Yep.
kind of like the guy, whatever the director or whatever his name is that gives the missions, and he can be training, kind of like Maverick. He can be training the next generation and build up from there, and you could build a new team, new dynamics, everything. You do it with the right group of young people, you can make these movies for 20 or 30 more years, especially if one of them breaks out as a star. And there you go. Now you have your new, Your
Yep.
franchise can keep going.
Yeah.
This is exactly what they should have did with John Wick. They shouldn't have killed him. Well, I don't think they actually did, but they claim they did. They should have had him take over the whole organization and from the top down and rebuild it, restructure it, and basically fix it. And they could do the same thing with Ethan here, and it would make a lot of sense. It allows your older actor to bring in a new generation because Tom's very much about his whole thing is he's trying to save the movie experience. It's very obvious he cares about this. The big screen, the whole deal. They use a lot of practical effects in his movies. He does all his own stunts. Uh, he's trying to save all that.
Yeah.
I mean, he's 62 years old, and the man still out here doing this crazy
Right.
shit. Uh,
Well, he's kind of
he
like
doesn't
our
need to be
Jackie
doing
Chan
this.
in a weird way.
Yeah, he doesn't need to be doing any of this. He's
Yeah.
got more than
Well,
enough money and fame and everything. He could disappear.
well,
Nobody would begrudge him it.
in the series, the TV series, Jim Phelps was the Ethan Hunt character, right?
Right.
And they did the same thing when they came out with the very first movie. John Voight played him as an older man, and they brought in a new guy, Ethan Hunt, right?
Right.
And of course, Kittredge, who is in this movie, of course, he became the new Jim Phelps boss, right? So
Right.
I 100% agree. They should they should put it over on Prime or something like that. Do a series, and have Tom be the new boss, the head of the IMF,
Mhm.
and bring in a completely new young team to do something and push it as a series.
And
That's what
what
they
would be
should do.
kind of cool?
Yeah.
What would be kind of cool is I was saying this. You bring in a whole group, however many you need, 5 or 6, whatever, or more, however many you want to do, and have one of the main characters uh, be a full professional. He's a little bit, maybe he might even be a little bit older than the other ones, and have him be married with a family and da 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 da. Da. And the reason being is because a lot of agents are that way, right? They're just aside from doing like your dad, aside from doing what they do, they're just married and they have kids and they
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 do.
have a
Well, my
relatively
dad was
normal
more
life.
of a shooter. He's not an agent.
Well,
But
you know what I'm
I
saying
get
though,
your
but
point. Yeah.
like that. And I think it'd be kind of interesting to see that, and you could do really cool stuff with it. Because one of the things that really annoys me in these movies, I don't know if this one does it. I have absolutely no idea. Is when they try to tack on things like a big romance that is completely
Oh
unnecessary.
well, how
Uh,
many women has Ethan had?
yeah, exactly. It's completely unnecessary. It adds very little to nothing to the film, and I don't think it needs it at
Yeah.
all. I don't think it's like having it in a Godzilla movie. Like nobody, it's not why we're here, guys.
No, it's
We're not
not.
here to.
Um.
I'll go watch a good love story if you're going to tell me one, but that's not what I'm here to do.
Yeah.
I'm here to
And
watch Ethan Hunt do impossible things.
and
That's why it's called Mission Impossible.
it did have some good action pieces in it. Like I said, the sub one is the best. Maple Sheik says a lot of this movie was filmed during COVID. Didn't know that, and you could
Yep.
tell by there's a lot of sets that were in rooms. That's true, and there was a lot of things that were just the one character speaking in a box. There was quite a bit of that, and they were speaking very slowly and very quietly and very seriously. A lot of that. Yeah. And they just didn't have the kind of cool because Mission Impossible, sure, Ethan Hunt is the action guy, but it's a team based thing. They're a team, right?
Right.
It's never
Right.
James Bond where you got one dude. It's not. Mission Impossible is a team. And in every movie, even because this is not the worst Mission Impossible by far. I put it in the middle. But
Mhm.
they always have those set pieces where the team is doing something cool and techie, right?
Mhm.
And they just don't have it in this movie. And maybe it's because of COVID. I don't. I didn't know that. I
Well, one of the things about scaling it down that would be really nice is you can get back to the feel of that first movie. That first movie isn't an action movie. First movie is a thriller more
it
than
is.
anything.
It is.
It's like a
Yeah.
spy drama thriller with that big action piece at the end. Um, you could get back to that. One of the problems these last two movies have had, the budgets are hugely inflated, and it's for various reasons, and that's going to cause them maybe to not even make money. We'll see, but there's no reason to abandon the franchise just because of that. And if you can self correct and scale it back down and I think you'd be one of the great things about Maverick is they didn't go crazy, right? They
No,
didn't
it
when they
was it
finally
was
made it.
reserved. Yeah.
Very reserved, very simple mission. There wasn't, they didn't take out 50 fucking jets by themselves. Like it was just a very
Yeah.
simple, straightforward situation,
No,
and
yeah.
that worked.
Now
You could
Tom knows
easily
what
do
he's
that with
doing.
this.
He knows what he's
I
doing.
do too. I hope that's the plan. I think
Yeah.
the reason why they left it open is because they're going to see if this movie makes enough money, and then
We're going to get
that's
to that.
probably what they'll
We're
do.
going to get to
Yeah.
that. But no, Tom seems responsible enough that if you gave him a budget and he was the boss, I don't think he would dump all the money in his pocket. He would spread it around and try to create something because he does
Oh
know how
yeah.
to make these things. Let his
Doesn't need
production
it.
company, because he has his own,
Mhm.
go out and find the new guy,
Him,
right?
the new him.
Well, yeah, will be a different character name, right? But
Yep.
he knows what you need, and do a series because keep in mind, Mission Impossible started as a TV series back what 60s, 70s.
60s or 70s, yeah.
Yeah,
And they're
yeah,
great. They're great fun. Mission Impossible
they
episodes,
are,
if you can find them.
and this one
Uh,
is fun too. It's fine.
yep. But the first movie is so much more, down to earth. It would be nice to actually have that back.
Yeah,
I still think out of all the crazy shit and stunts and madness that he's done over the years, the most iconic scene in any of those movies is when he falls in that fucking room in the first one. And he catches himself right. He gets caught right at the end. He's just above the floor, and that whole deal from when he's hanging from that wire is the most iconic scene in the entire series. And it's from the first movie, which wasn't even like the rest of the movies.
yeah.
So I think that they really should consider that, and I hope that's the plan. I really do. Bring it
Well,
down, scale it down. We don't need these world-ending AI staked things and nuclear bombs, and we don't need all that. You can do other stuff that can be just as interesting. People have been writing spy thrillers forever. Like you don't have to always go world-ending stakes to make these things interesting.
which one was it that had Hoffman in it? Seymour
Philip
Hoffman.
Seymour Hoffman, he's in.
Yeah,
I think he's in two of them, but
yeah, but the one where it ends in China, that's the best one for
I
sure.
think is that Fallout the one about the. I'm trying to remember. They blur together.
They
Hang on,
kind of
we'll
do,
look them up.
and they're always like that. Let me check here, find out because um, that's definitely the best one with
Yep,
Hoffman in it. No, it's not that one. Maybe it's Rogue Nation. Maybe
I think. Hmm, is it Ghost Protocol?
it's not that one. So maybe it is Ghost Protocol. But whatever that is the best one for sure. Ghost Protocol. Let me check.
Now wait a minute.
It's the one that ends in China. And I don't see him listed anywhere. Maybe they kept him off in the listing because they were trying to keep it secret. I don't know. But whatever one that was the best one. This one I put kind of in the middle, maybe lower middle. It's certainly not the worst one. But it's fine. It's definitely worth getting some popcorn, sitting in the theater, and enjoying the action. It is stilted. It is what it is. And it seems like they had some COVID problems, so maybe that's why. But we'll get into the future of it a little bit more here in a moment. So let's move. Let's leave it and come back to it. And this is interesting.
Here we go. Thank you, John Bernthal. Marvel Comics brings back the Punisher, and by
Okay.
all accounts, he is the Punisher.
Yeah, in
He's
the we're
he's
talking about
proper
comic
Frank,
books here. We're talking about comic
proper
books.
Frankie
No, it's
boy,
not.
old
It's
Frankie
not
Poo.
proper. It's not proper.
Well,
Um,
that's what I was told.
Well, I researched it, and it's not. But it has maybe it has some potential. See, the problem is the Wokies hate this character a lot, a whole
Hmm.
lot, because the cops like him, and of course you know how they with the love they have for the cops, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they just really want to destroy this character. They destroyed him so much. They took away his logo. They took away his guns. They resurrected his wife just so she could yell at him. right? I mean, literally, they did this in the comic book. They destroyed this, and of course, it went away, and it's been away for a couple of years now. Now they're bringing it back, but keep in mind that this Frank Castle with he's got the image, he's got the gun, so it's Frank, but he has no memory, which is kind of ridiculous. Seeing as the whole motivation of Frank Castle is to avenge his family, his wife and kids, and make
Yeah.
or his kid, and make sure it doesn't happen to anyone again. That's the whole motivation of the Punisher.
Why would he go punish if he doesn't know who he is?
Yeah, no, it doesn't make any sense. And they're like, "Oh, he's more vicious than ever." If you go read the promo, it's dumb. But then again, Marvel
So-
Comics is dumb.
So wait a minute. Hang on. So he has amnesia.
Yep.
So he's now just killing people to kill them?
I
I'm
guess.
confused.
I guess.
He's
And
just a
even
straight
in the
murderer.
tagline, it says, "The monster that hunts the monsters." Okay,
Yeah, but why would he hunt them?
I guess I
Why
don't
would he
know.
do these things?
And don't expect
Oh.
I wouldn't expect to get an answer to that. Look who's writing this shit these days, dude.
Oh, it's so terrible. But at least he has guns again.
And
That's
he's got
nice.
his logo back.
Okay.
And that's what they're thinking. Like, oh goodness gracious, people like it. All right, let's just put the logo on the guns, and then just go. Right? That's what's happening.
The rest of it doesn't have to make sense. It's fine.
That's right. Now, John Bernthal, a lot of people like him as Punisher, and I'm like, well, season 1 was okay. I mean, it was
Yep.
fine. Season 2 was an abomination. That was not Punisher at all. Some of the things with Daredevil was pretty good. This current season is ridiculous what they do to him. It's ridiculous.
I saw because I never really liked the Daredevil show. I still don't remember why. There was a reason, and I can't remember. And I watched like the first 3 episodes, and it turned me off. And I was like, I can't. I'd have to watch it again. I can't remember. Anyway, but I did see him in Punisher's rooftop debate, the famous debate.
Yeah.
And I think they did a really good job with that. They actually
did.
kind of nailed that.
They
Yeah.
did. Yeah. But this
Because,
is
I
a
mean,
mixed
at
thing, guys.
the end of the day, the Punisher's right.
Of course.
Sorry, superhero fans, but he's right. If you just kill him, these problems go away. There's no more problem.
No,
it's
it's
over
true.
now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it depends on what you're looking at. If you want a comic book, it's just that's a revenge based thing. Well, Punisher's perfect for you. If
Yeah.
you want something that's looking at the meta of the idea, well, then you want Batman or Superman or something like that, right? Who
Yes.
don't kill.
Well, and you also, it's very obvious the real reason they don't kill them is so they can reuse these villains if they get popular. That's
and
the real reason.
you would kind of wish that the MCU would learn that lesson that comics
Yes.
learned freaking 80 years ago. But
Yes.
whatever. But we know that Marvel is in absolute disarray. I mean, their number one selling books are around 50,000 copies, dude.
What's
mean,
crazy to me,
That's insane. And whereas DC, keep in mind right now, DC with their absolute thing, they're selling 500,000. Now that's still nowhere near the height of comic books, but that's 10 times what Marvel is doing. 10 times.
I mean, 500,000 ain't bad. It's not terrible.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
yeah,
But
that's
I don't see how that shit looks boring as fuck.
but it is selling though.
Well,
Is my point, and it's
yeah.
selling at a pretty good clip.
There was a few years there where I was like, nah, American comics are toast. I don't know if they are anymore. I think there's been a massive cultural shift. And I think if one of them, and this might be what we're seeing here, an attempt to try and do that, can catch up, I think they'll be okay. We know people will buy this shit because people buy manga like crazy.
Yeah.
Like crazy.
Yeah.
So they'll buy it and read it if you can give them value. Everything is worth what somebody is willing to pay. And the problem that we've had with American comics for honestly 25 years, if we're being really honest, is they haven't been worth shit. They just haven't. They have not been worth the time or the money. And the fact that they became so niche to get your hands on and do all, you had to jump through these hoops, you had to go to specific places.
All the damn
It was
covers
bullshit.
and all this
It's
special releases, and
bullshit.
it's bullshit. Yeah.
And it's what drove me away from it as a full-time reader. I was tired of it. I was like, I just can't be bothered. Can't be bothered anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that hopefully they have learned their lesson a little bit because they have put them in more readily accessible places like Walmart and blah 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 blah, which is what we've said they should have always done. The fact that they didn't was retarded. Uh, and I think you might if they can get their own dick out of their own ass. I'm being very vulgar today. Sorry, Chester. If they can just get out of their own way, they
It's
could
Alan's
probably
fault.
fix. They could probably correct course at least at some level because with all their bullshit they've done, the characters are still popular. They're still popular. Superman's still popular. Batman's still popular. Wonder Woman's still popular. Punisher's still popular. These characters have become ubiquitous with the dominant superculture of the planet. They're still
Oh, yes.
popular. There's still money if you could just
And
get out of your own way.
and as much as Tom Brevoort doesn't want to admit this, Marvel Rivals has played a big effect in this.
Oh,
It
yes.
has.
Because
That's true.
Punisher is insanely popular in that game.
Thank you,
And
China.
Punisher is the Punisher. Like if for those who
number
haven't
one.
played that game, he has the skull.
Yeah.
He has plenty of guns. I mean, holy fuck! If
Does
there's a version of a gun, he's got it.
Well, it's because the Chinese don't do woke. That's why. All the characters are
literally
what they
illegal.
should be. Yeah, well, it is illegal in their country. They spend a lot of money for us to have it, though.
Well,
But
it's-
no,
yeah.
Grimlock, I think you and I, we should go check out Absolute and see what the hype is about, dude. You and I should go read some. Because they're actually
I've
selling.
read some previews. I've read some previews, and I've seen like the designs aren't like. I don't think the designs are horrible. They got good artists on the books. I'll give
They
them
do.
that.
They do, yeah.
But like when I read the premises for those, I'm like, okay, they're just another retelling. It's like I don't care to see a poor Bruce Wayne. I'm sorry that that's kind of like the evil Superman thing. It's like, yeah, that was fine seeing it once, but I don't need to see it again.
Yeah, no, I get you. But I just want to see if what the deal is, because
And
they are selling.
it's kind of funny because real quick, rest in peace to Peter David. I had just got his Joe Fixit trade in the mail this week.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, and the only reason one of the reasons I'm kind of optimistic about Punisher, I know you're not particularly familiar with him, but Benjamin Percy is writing that.
Yeah, no, Benjamin Percy and art by Julius Ota. Yeah,
And
it looks
Percy-
great, by the way. It looks beautiful.
That is
And
clean.
Percy's a solid writer, like, and he does a lot of the male characters. He did during the Crap Crowan era, he did Wolverine. He did the X-Force books. He did the Ghost Rider book a couple years ago that I really liked with Corey Smith doing the art,
Oh,
which was a fairly gory book. So I think
well,
Percy.
this is
won-
R-rated. This is a max.
Yeah,
book,
that's what I was about to say. I don't think he's going to be shy with going back to just remembering what I remember about those Ghost Rider books.
Yeah.
He's not going to be shy about busting people's skulls, literal. Pardon the pun. So I think he's a good pick for that.
And
If-
of course,
if-
this is only a 5-issue limited series, by the way, guys.
Of
called
course.
Red Band, right?
Is it going to
I
be
will
one of those
say-
red, white, and black books again? Because I know oh wait, no, Red Band is like one of those ones with it's kind of like director's cut that they've been gimmicking lately.
Yeah, well, I think it's just them rebranding Max, which I don't
No,
know
the
why.
Red Band is like they'll have like a regular version, and then Red Band is supposed to have like a couple of pages that was cut from the editing room floor.
Oh, I see. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah,
But
yeah, that's what it is. It's kind of like remember how like back in the day, like classic X-Men was like the director's cut. There was like extra stuff in it.
Yeah.
That's what Red Band is supposed to be.
But if you look
But,
at this right
you
here,
know-
this tells you a lot of the nonsense we're going to get, though. Reread and reload, true believers. Frank Castle is back with no memories, a full clip, and a thirst for wrathful vengeance. Why? He has no memory.
Yeah, what is he so vengeful
Why
about?
is he so
doesn't remember.
vengeful? His violent search for answers could only be chronicled in a red band series.
So
Bullets will fly, blood will flow,
Now,
and the citizens and
now
criminals of New York City
I'm
alike will fear the
I'm gonna
news of
say I'm gonna
Underground.
say right now Ben is already recycling a story, and I can tell you what that story because in the beginning of the Ghost Rider story, that's kind of what happened with Blaze. Blaze is in a town with who he thought was Roxanne and a family, and he didn't know how he got there. He didn't know when he got married,
Hmm.
and come to find out that somehow Mephisto had found a way to block the spirit of vengeance within his mind, and within doing that, he was able to block off a section of his memory. So it already sounds like he's recycling a little bit of that story. I hope he does something different with it.
Yeah.
can I ask
But
a question?
Yeah.
go ahead.
Why does Frank look like he have Down syndrome?
Really?
Because somebody's artist, man. That one
Yeah.
cover that you have right there, he kind of looks retarded.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, the rest of it looks good, but his face is weird. His face
Well,
looks strange.
it is a Dutch angle, so. But
I like the Chichetto cover.
yeah, it is nice. But we'll see in regards to this because I just don't trust these people at all. I just don't. You
No.
know.
And you should.
But
You should
Marvel
know.
desperately needs to do something because, like I'm saying, like last year, their number one comic sold 50,000 copies, dude. That was their number one.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
insane. You realize back in the 90s, if you had a book that was 50,000, that shit's canceled.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I think we was talking about this a couple of nights ago. Me, Thundaro, and Canada about Spider-Man after they broke up Peter and Mary Jane,
Yeah.
and no matter what side of the fence you sit on, whether you thought it was a good idea or a bad idea, fact of the matter is they lost over a third of their buying audience for after one more day, and they never got it back.
No, well, that was a
And this
stupid
was
move, dude.
and this is when freaking Spider-Man was busting out six figures on a bad issue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No,
And
easy. Yeah, no, they go across 7 figures, dude. For sure.
and right now, as happy as I am that this happened, I'll say it again. Transformers outselling Spider-Man and X-Men.
Wow.
In no universe should that fucking happen.
No, it's not. But these,
Especially considering they're not that comic is not even on the big two.
yeah. But and we are getting some things in that regard as far when you mentioned Peter Parker, because in the new Spider-Man they're still doing the multiverse thing, which is ridiculous. But Mayday is going to be, I can't remember, some little redhead girl is going to be in there, and of course if you know anything about Mayday Parker, you know that she is a mutant. And because I think we're rolling into, they're going to throw mutants at us like crazy. And they're going to ruin it. But there it is. But Sheik says he thinks the Hoffman one is Mission Impossible 3. And he's also just trying to ruin my day by saying the new IMF team is going to have Michael B. Jordan, Timothy Chalamet, Zendaya, Elliot Page, Channing Tatum, and Sydney Sweeney.
Well,
You are an evil man,
Yes,
sir.
that's what Canada does.
An evil man.
in
That is what the
fairness,
sheep does.
That's what they
in
do.
fairness, gentlemen, the original team was very diverse. They
Yeah, no,
very
there's
well
no
could.
problem with that. They are a team. That's the whole point. Yeah.
Yep, they could. If they do a new IMF team and they do the whole thing, which I think they're going to, I think they're going to see if this movie makes any kind of money, which we'll get to, and then they're gonna reset, which is why they left it open ended enough to do so.
That's ridiculous.
Because I think that's just the plan. But you're probably gonna see at least one of them or somebody like them involved if they do, unless they go with a bunch of nobodies, which they could do that too. Hoping that Tom will carry it. Because whether we like it or not, and I don't, some of them actually can draw. Michael B. Jordan does draw money.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but he does
Well,
draw money.
you're not in the in the theory we're talking about. You're not rebooting it, you're continuing
No,
it. So,
correct.
therefore, whatever the new character is that's replacing Ethan as the field lead, it could be Michael B. Jordan. I mean, he's a good actor. That Chalamet guy, no, please, no, stop. Zendaya, shoot somebody.
Well,
You know,
Chalamet could fit in the vents. He's small.
yeah,
He could fit
no,
in the vents.
please, no. But my point
I
is,
actually like him as an actor. I think he's an okay actor. He's just not an action star like they
he
keep trying to make him.
is a pimple.
He's a very
Michael
small
B.
man.
Jordan draws because he's safe.
Well, he's also
He's-
very handsome.
Handsome
Very
guy.
handsome.
I mean, he's a
Capable
good-looking
actor.
dude. He's a good enough actor.
Yeah.
But also, when's the last time you've heard something fucked up about him?
No, he keeps his head down. That's true.
He does his job.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. He is a very safe pick, even though I hate seeing him in everything. Not because he's a
should
bad
have been
actor.
Black Panther if they were going to do
No.
anything.
No, he shouldn't have. They should have.
No, they should have had Killmonger. They should have had Killmonger.
They should have
do it.
just fucking recast T'Challa. The
Yeah,
only
or-
reason,
Or made the white ape.
clearly.
the only reason they didn't do that is, and people don't want to believe this, is the plan was to have Shuri take over all along.
Of course.
Chadwick
Yes.
dying just made that shit convenient. That's why
I think
none
the
of
plan
those things was
was
going to happen.
to have her take over the Black Panther franchise and have him take over the Avengers. That's what I think the plan was originally. Is he was going to take over as the leader of the Avengers, and they would have two Black Panthers because they can. And
Right.
I mean,
but they obviously Chadwick, that didn't happen. Unfortunately,
Yeah,
very
unfortunately.
unfortunate.
They should've
He
just-
seemed like a good guy.
they should have just recast him. There's a ton of young black actors who are
Yep.
good looking enough, who are athletic enough, that could do that role for the next 20
I agree
years.
with you. They should have recast him, but since they weren't going to, what they should have done was just bring Killmonger back and have him take over. Since he was the rightful king anyway, watch the movie. He didn't do anything wrong. He followed all the rules, and they stole his crown from him.
He did.
The bastards.
That's true. That is true.
Right.
Yeah.
Um,
Anyway, but yeah, Marvel is in dire straits. It's outrageous what's going on over there. Everything has been gender swapped. They're all female or race swapped. Pretty much everybody's gay. I mean,
Excellent.
in the comic book, right? It's legitimately
and that's
that.
why
I'm
it's
not
saying-
exaggerating at all. At all. It's insane.
right now, all the X-Men books are actually selling worse than Krakoa, the Krakoa era,
Yeah.
and that was horrible.
Yeah, it was. It was real bad. Just so you're you're not going to be happy, Thundera, because one of your favorite characters is now female. Gambit.
Which one? Gambit? How
Mhm.
does that make sense?
Don't know, but it's a female Gambit now.
Well, that defeats the whole purpose of Gambit.
Man, well, they're all
do like
female
Gambit.
now.
It's the stupid idea that it's not because of the character. They're just a mantle. You can pass that on to anybody. No, you fucking can't.
Well, even if that's
There
true,
are-
why are they all being passed on to females then?
Well, and also, why not just make a new Gambit? Like, make a new character. Like, it's not like he's got some kind. It's not Superman. You know what
No,
I'm
you
saying?
could
Like,
make something different.
just do it again. All right.
And of course,
But
like
even-
Hollywood women,
Then
I do find it interesting that the percentages of homosexuality have fallen squarely upon everybody in every book. Just like
That's
in
right.
Hollywood, it's just amazing how all these Hollywood ladies, their children are all transgendered, all of them.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
It is
It's a fascinating
amazing.
phenomenon.
The probability is out the frickin' window, and don't you dare touch Longshot. I swear to God.
Well,
Come on, that was a good
They'll
one, dude.
just
That
fucking
was
up
that was a science joke.
yeah.
I heard you.
But,
I heard you.
no, this idea that all characters are mantles. I'll say that works more in DC than Marvel. Marvel had at least up until very recently had went out of their way to give a very defined fucking origin to their characters,
Right.
which which is what made them unique.
Sure.
Bruce Banner, the Fantastic Four, um, Peter Parker. You can even say to a lesser extent Tony Stark. What the events that led them to becoming what they became. Hell, even Thor with Don Blake. Those are supposed to be 1 in a million odds that happens. And for these writers to go, oh, anybody can just have that happen. No, the fuck it can't. It literally can't.
I would say out of all the ones
Now,
you
with
named, the only one that would make even kind of sense is Tony Stark, because his is just a suit.
Yeah, that's why I said to a lesser extent. But look at the events that led him to making the suit. He wasn't making the suit because he was bored on a Saturday. He was making it because he was fucking dying.
But when they wanted to diversify, if you will, that world, they just made War Machine, and everybody likes War Machine. What's wrong with War Machine? He's great. I like War Machine.
He's too masculine.
They cucked him out in the movies,
Well,
though.
of course they did.
Of
course they did.
He's too fucking masculine. Like I said, anybody who's ever read, the Iron Man comics, especially if you go back to that era when he was introduced.
Yeah.
This dude is fucking Bobby Lashley. And what did
he's
they
a
give you?
monster.
Don fucking Cheadle. Yeah, because when I think masculinity, I think Don fucking Cheadle.
So you don't think, you hear War Machine, you don't think Don Cheadle is what you're telling
No,
me?
Well,
I
Terrence
don't
Howard
think I don't think effeminate manlet.
Terrence Howard had a better vibe, actually.
He
I
did,
agree.
but he was still the wrong choice.
No, they needed a guy like Bobby Lashley. They needed
They literally need
warrior.
He literally is Bobby Lashley, a fucking Army Ranger who decided at 23 he's just gonna stop aging.
Yeah, he's just done now. He's had enough of that.
Looks like a comic book. It literally looks like if you built an action figure, you're telling me it don't look like Bobby Lashley.
That's fair. That's fair.
If Bobby could act, he would have made a great War Machine.
Isn't it weird that it turns out that The Rock and Cena are the ones that actually can act?
Well, Batista can act sometimes. He's just usually acting
Well,
like an
if
idiot.
he's directed correctly. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, he's just one of the ones who's gotten this weird thing that he thinks he's funny.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. The best wrestler turned actor was Roddy Piper, and it's not even close.
Yeah, but we didn't get enough of that shit, dude.
No, we did not.
We got what?
You would have thought after Day Live he'd have got more action roles.
I don't know.
You would have.
He was great at it. Yeah. But anyway, let's move on here. But there's a lot of nonsense going on in comic books right now, for sure. But I got to go read the Absolute stuff because it's selling like crazy, dude.
Hey,
I'm
happy
see
with
what
the
they're
Transformer stuff. And they just fucking set the Kickstarter record for biggest comic Kickstarter.
Which one?
For the old shit.
The old stuff,
the Transformers compendiums. These, if you had $300 in your pocket, you can have bought the entire US and UK
run
comic runs plus the Generation 2 and all the annuals. So I got the US one. I might pick later on if they do this when they do the surveys. I might pick up the UK version.
Sure. That is a handy thing with Kickstarter. Anyway, this right here is going to piss off Thundero to the nth degree.
What's hilarious is I'm not in my room. I'm in my kitchen again, so I can't.
Oh, that's okay. You read it for him, Grimlock, and let him seethe.
Oh no!
Alex Garland directing live action Elden Ring movie.
Ooh.
Oh Lord! Why? Nobody needs this. Nobody wants
Dear
this.
Hollywood. Dear Hollywood. I got this one, Thunder. Dear Hollywood. Just because Sonic and Mario popped off does not mean you can take every fucking video game franchise that is popular and get the same results. You should already be learning that shit with Minecraft.
And besides, why are they doing Elden Ring and not starting with, Demon Souls or Dark Souls? Why?
But why? That is a very niche audience.
Super niche, dude. Super niche.
Look, I know the Souls folks love those games and they love that type, but most casual gamers are not sitting down to play any of those.
It's brutally difficult. It's really hard.
And Elden Ring is the easiest one. actually,
right. No, it's true.
of the group.
But Alex Garland is only, as far as I know, he's only got 2 movies to his name: Warfare and that Civil War. Now, Warfare, I've never even seen it, but Civil War did a little bit of business, right? Like a year or two ago, right? It's that
A,
guy.
a leftist masturbatory fucking telling.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just
For
saying
some
that
reason,
he's the dude that's
California and
directing it.
Texas were allies.
Yeah.
What?
And it's coming out of A24, so it's going to be low budget.
Yeah.
Low
Which
budget.
not only does this movie not need to exist, here's the real problem. It's not that they're making it. That's fine. Waste your money if you want. It's that I was just saying this the other day. The problem with Elden Ring in general is the lore doesn't make any sense to most people, even the people who played and defeated it, who conquered this game. The lore is a complete shit show. Now, it's not bad lore. It's just really deep and complex and nuanced, and there's a lot of stuff going on and a lot of moving pieces and a lot of moving parts. You're not
Yeah.
going to be able to do that in a movie.
No,
It's
you're
not going to
not.
work.
No, you're not going to be
The
able to
reason
fulfill the
why
idea. Yeah.
Sonic and Mario can be turned into very simple films is because they're very simple concepts. They're silly, but they're very simple. We don't need the deep lore of Mario, and we don't need the deep lore of Sonic, really. We just need to know that they're fun and cute and cool. That's it.
Yeah.
And it
And
worked.
Robotnik, played
Yeah,
by
and
You know,
Robotnik
Jim Carrey.
is hilarious.
you know, it'd be funny if they wanted to go that route because they want to go the comedy route. But I think since his relevance is fade, Crash Bandicoot would be a better fucking selection
Yep.
than Elden Ring.
Well, he'd be more irreverent, that's for sure. But now keep in mind the Civil War movie, which like I said, it did a little bit of business. That was the most expensive movie A24 has ever made at 50 million. That was their most expensive production, by quite a bit. And it did bring in 127 million. So they made a penny or two.
They made a
on it.
little bit, yeah. Well, they also don't have the same budget for advertising that a lot of the others do. They use a lot of viral marketing, so they
They
save a
do.
lot of money. Yeah.
But I just don't know with that budget how you're going to pull any Souls game off.
You're not. That's how. You're simply not. You might be able to just use the lore to tell something like a simple horror story or a very, very, very simple action story. But it's just not going to work. It's not the right. It's not the right. It's not the right franchise to do this with at all. There are plenty of game franchises that they actually could do phenomenally with because A24 can do good work. They've put out some
They
really
can.
good
I've
films.
seen some good stuff from them. Yeah.
If you gave them something with some more narrative meat, because the Elden Ring doesn't. I mean, the narrative
No,
is basically
it's
whatever you
Oh.
want it to be. It's very weakly
Oof.
told.
it is.
The Howl is adding Howl Comics is adding further curse to this.
Kevin
oh,
Hart
no.
and The Rock. Elden Ring.
Now that I'd like to see, just because it'd be funny. But what you
For
should do
who?
if you're gonna give this studio any game to make into a movie, you would want it to be something that you can do on a much smaller budget, much more human, personal, down to earth story like a Red Dead or something like that. Not this. The amount of surrealness that Elden Ring you're gonna have to do, even if you were just, let's say they take 2 of the bosses from the game, just 2 of them. They're so weird looking and surreal is the correct word that the budget for them is going to eat up everything if you want to make them look even kind of good, if you're going to show them. So even the regular monsters in that game, most of them are a big chunk of them
Yeah,
are
that's
really
about this.
weird.
Yeah.
like-
most of the creatures in there is freaking nightmare fuel. Yeah, take
Right.
the kids
Yeah.
to this one.
And it's a bit
This is
weird
good
too
fun family
because
entertainment.
A24 is very eccentric in its movie storytelling, right? I mean,
Yeah.
look at here, Swiss Army Man, which I haven't seen, but it's a weird little movie. Moonlight, The Last Black Man in San Francisco. No, thank you. Let me
O.J.
see
Simpson?
here. Heredity. It was a good movie, for sure. But Ex Machina, of course, that was a big hit.
Ex Machina, yeah.
Ex Machina, sorry. Let's see here. I did watch it and it was nowhere near as good as people said it was though.
What,
It
Ex
wasn't.
Machina?
Yeah, it wasn't. I don't know why that got hyped on so much. Under the Skin, of course, Scarlett Johansson get naked in that one, baby.
Woo!
A Ghost Story, Midsummer. If you love yourself, don't watch that movie. Um, but there you see what I mean. They're very eccentric movies, right? Weird little stories, very avant-garde is what they do. And how are you going to do that in that style? It doesn't make any sense.
No, it does not. You are correct, sir. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe they'll pull it off. Maybe we'll all be wrong. They'll pull off some miracle and do something cool with it.
Well,
But it's just further proof, Chester, that I said last week. I think we're entering the video game era.
no, it seems so. But then again, when they announced Robert Downey Jr., that weird drug head guy that did romances to play Tony Stark, I was like, yeah, right. I was wrong.
You were. But don't worry. He's going to be Dr. Doom. He's going to be great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's throw that character away. Inconsequential character of Doctor Doom. Yeah.
The most important villain in comic book history
Yeah,
besides
well,
the Joker. Yeah,
they
that
don't-
guy.
But they don't know that though.
God. They should by now. They've been doing this for 20 years. They should know. Christ.
No, because Doctor Doom is just a mantle. Anybody can be Doctor Doom.
Anybody.
Anybody
But he
can be
got
Dr.
plenty under that damn armor.
Yeah. Go ahead and read this one.
Yeah, wouldn't you like that? Tech support Doctor Doom. You did not reset your modem, so now I must kill your family.
Tech support Dr. Doom. I'm not in there again, by the way. I'm still not in there yet.
Go ahead. Grandpa.
Alrighty. Disney's Lilo and Stitch Rotten Tomatoes score is mediocre. No shit.
Now,
Yeah, I heard some terrible things about
This
this film.
one-
Terrible.
this
terrible
one
things.
actually irks me a bit because
He's irked.
I'm irked because I saw the original movie. I didn't see any of the other stuff, but I saw the original movie because I have kids, right?
Mhm.
It was kind of the perfect age when it came out, the perfect age for my kids to watch it, and the family loved it, and it was a fun little movie. But here's the thing, and I think a lot of people have seen Lilo and Stitch. If I asked you the question, what is the premise of that movie? What's the whole point of it? What's happening in that movie?
You're about to
most
summon
animated
Vin Diesel
movies-
by saying it.
Yes, like most animated
I know,
movies,
you're right.
family.
Family. It's
Yeah.
all about family. The whole point of it is coming together as a family. Nani is trying to find a way to keep her
Nani!
little sister because their parents got killed by I don't even know how, but because she's a young woman and she's struggling, but she wants to keep the family together. She's fighting to do so, and of course Stitch himself needs a family too, and he finds it, right? And even the guy who's the pseudo potentially bad guy becomes part of the family as well. The alien guy, the big doctor
Mhm.
guy. That's the whole point. The whole thing is about family, 100%, right? In this movie, I'm giving spoilers, by the way. I don't give a shit. All right. In this
He doesn't
movie,
care, folks.
not only is it not about family, it's so
right.
much not about family that at the end of the film, Nani goes off to pursue her forever dream of becoming a marine biologist. Anybody, where did that come from? And leaves Lilo, leaves her.
That's right. Get out of here, bitch. Don't want you.
Unbelievable, dude. And they took
You
the
see,
bad
because-
guy out. The bad guy's not even in the movie. Instead, they
Just
made the
remember how-
doctor who had to change the heart the bad guy. What?
Remember how we were talking about earlier? We were talking about how the Womans in America, especially in the West. I don't know about the rest of the world, but in the West for sure, there's this real problem with accountability, change, and responsibility.
Yeah.
Well, here's why. This is one of the reasons why. Because no, that's your family. That's it. That's the end of that conversation. That's
No,
done.
Thundaro, it's not about accountability. It's about discovering your true inner power.
We
I guess it
unfortunately
is.
we had to watch Mr. Thor, Mr. Odinson, the most powerful Avenger, try to discover himself through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different movies. Has he found himself yet?
No, not
because
yet.
He's
Soon.
pretty
He
hard
should
to
have asked
find.
Siri.
Soon. They need
He should
about
have asked
another
Siri.
5.
He could have knocked that shit out in 30 seconds.
That's true. That's true. Now, I know that a lot of movies are about family, but Lilo and Stitch did a really good job with it, though. It was legitimately a good movie.
Yeah.
Now, the good points are Stitch looks great. I mean, look at it; it looks
Mhm.
good. And everyone's saying that although there's times where she's a bit stilted, she's a kid. Lilo, this little girl playing Lilo, is does a pretty good job. So, all right, there you go, positive. Nani is kind of non-existent, which is ridiculous because Nani's the heart and soul of the freaking movie. But of course, she doesn't give a shit about her sister. She's just an irritant to her.
That's right.
So it's kind of ridiculous how un-Lilo and Stitch this is. And I really would like to know, why did they change it? What's the point?
Because they hate
Oh, I can.
mothers.
Oh, I can
And
explain
yes,
this one. This is
she's not her
this
mother,
is
but she is effectively, right? She
Yeah,
becomes
it's
that.
her mom. Yeah.
Yeah, they hate. That's what it is. They hate parents. These people. They hate the whole idea of family.
Yeah.
The only reason why Vin Diesel has been able to make all these action movies about family is because he's in charge of it. He's the executive producer. He does what he wants.
Yeah.
The only reason why, and you have seen a few here or there where there's positive, paternal or maternal or both figures in some movies lately, but for years that just didn't happen. It was very rare, and Disney is one of the main culprits of that. Um, I was actually just thinking about this completely randomly, but about certain anime, how they do the same. They have the same trope, right, where they're orphans or they only have one parent or whatever.
Right.
It's a trope in storytelling that goes back since always. But here's the problem. Here's what these people have done and what they always do. They take things like tropes and they twist them. Now they're using it because they clearly have an agenda, and that agenda is they want young women to not be mothers at a young age, to not take on the familial responsibility of motherhood,
Oh yeah, it
because they
was the
know,
communism, right?
yeah, that's exactly it. They know that if you can do that to women and that you can convince them that this is what they want, and you do it to enough of them, some of them absolutely shouldn't be mothers. That's not the whole point. But they know if they can do this on a societal level, they can destroy your civilization effectively. And that's what they've done. They've done it all over the world. All over the
Yeah.
world. Now you see these governments acting all over the world to try and correct this mechanism. And it's not going to work until somebody deals with Hollywood, because Hollywood's the cause of it. The propaganda against motherhood, the antinatalism of
Yeah,
Hollywood
it
over
is
the
a
last
propaganda
40 or
machine.
50
Yeah.
years
well.
has been the problem. It'll continue to be the problem. And until we burn their studios down and salt the earth upon which they stand, it will continue.
Well, here's the problem because they're not going to do it because they're too scared of it. You got to get the women out of there because a lot of this shit is written to appease middle-aged liberal white women in their 40s who are alcoholics, who are mad, who are still mad at their parents for not being perfect, who have the audacity to call, who hates the idea of having a family but has the audacity to refer to themselves as cat moms and dog moms on fucking social media. This is the audience that they have been coveting. This is the audience that they had in She-Hulk, which is why that show was such an abomination.
Yep.
These are the fucking people that they're catering to. These fucking
Luckily,
angry ass cunts.
luckily, it's starting to end. Disney is one of the last holdouts to really be pushing this stuff hard still at this level. They're going to keep doing it because Disney's been doing it for 40 years, but people want to pretend like they haven't been. But they're going to keep doing it. And they're not going to course correct. I really don't think they're going to. I think Disney's going to get bought by one of the bigger companies or collapse in on itself like
Well,
Maybe
Giants
get
that
are.
split up. Yeah.
well, what I told you. Why you think I'm praying for the Fantastic Four to fucking fall?
It's
I
going
And
know
to,
you do.
dude.
I never thought I would have said that 20 years ago.
I know,
But
it's
ever
so
since
sad.
they cast that faggot as Reed Richards, I am
Yeah.
praying like Drew McIntyre every
Yep.
Yeah.
fuck. I don't
Praying
care if
on
it
their
takes years off
downfall.
my life at this point.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
but
and of course, Booster
luckily,
makes
we
a
do have
really
a
good point
correction
here.
though.
Yeah.
Real quick, luckily we do have a correction. One of the things that's really nice about overseas companies and countries kind of getting in on the game at a high level now. Plus, we have AI, which we've seen what the AIs can do.
Holy crap,
This is
dude.
this is a self-correct. This is going to be a self-correcting problem because they've pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed, and now we have a whole generation of young men all over the world, not just in the West, but on the planet, who have had enough of it.
Yeah.
They want to be husbands. They want to be fathers. They want to have children. They want to be grandfathers. They want to do all that shit that, every male has ever done in the history of ever, basically, on planet Earth. They want all of that shit, and they want it, and they're not going to apologize for wanting it anymore. And because of this, the culture is shifting. So when I said about Frank Castle earlier, we have had a cultural shift. It's very interesting. We have this cultural shift. It was very evident, obviously, in 2024. And then you get a new Frank Castle story where he actually looks like Frank Castle, seems to be doing some Frank Castle like shit. The memory thing's kind of weird, but maybe it'll work out. But at least aesthetically, which is the point, aesthetically, it's important. The reason why you have Nani doing all this nonsense, and the reason why she's such a beloved character from the original Lilo and Stitch, is because aesthetically,
Ohana.
she does the right thing. She does the correct thing. She takes care of her family. She's loving and she's kind and motherly. This one isn't. This one apparently is quite selfish, and that's repugnant.
Well, also, just to throw this out there, since they're so big on diversity and shit, considering the ethnicity of Lilo and Nani,
they didn't put a Polynesian in it. You're right.
Well, not just that, but the concept of family is huge with Polynesians, especially Samoans. So to do this, that's a huge slap in the face to them.
No, it is. I mean, because in the movie and people in the original animation, people were complaining that they looked too Polynesian, which is, racist. But yeah, they're supposed to be. But what you have here is two Filipino girls, right?
That's right.
Now, they're not Polynesian at all, not even a little bit, right?
No.
So yeah, the diversity thing's a good point. Of course, Booster mentions Ohana, which was said how many damn times in the original movie? I mean, goodness great. Ohana means family, by the way. And they just completely abandoned that. But I do find it kind of interesting here. Look at here, Wall Street Journal. The two human leads, Nani and Lilo, don't have nearly enough charm to make up for the deficiencies around them, which leaves the entire movie essentially in Stitch's claws. Yet even his demented toddler on 3 espresso energy isn't funny. That's the Wall Street Journal. Their job is to spread wokeism. That's their job, right? Chicago Tribune, once again, their job. Live action recycling makes characters you know and love more real. And too often, the realism comes with only trace elements of real charm or magic. Woof. Look at this one from Time.
Once again, Wall Street Journal had been kissing Disney's ass for a long time.
They have been, dude. Yep. And Time is ultra woke, right? Their job is to spread the wokeness. Listen to this. The Disney live-action industrial complex has made a lot of strange decisions, but fundamentally misunderstanding what makes one of their most universally adored characters worthwhile may be its most egregious.
I'll give you a great example. We talked about him earlier. Breaking up Peter Parker's family and ruining decades of character development for him. It's very similar to what they did with Nani.
Yeah.
It completely misses the entire point, which is on purpose. Nobody misses the point that hard unless they're trying to. Misses the entire point of what made that character endearing to begin with, because she overcomes a horrific thing, effectively. Right? Yeah. It's something terrible. Nobody would wish that on somebody.
Sure.
Alien but she overcomes invasion. It. Yeah, she overcomes it and keeps her family together. That's impressive.
Yeah.
That's an impressive thing that's relatable, that everybody can understand.
Sure.
Just the same reason why Peter Parker's popular is because, yes, he has superpowers, and yes, he's a genius, but his life kind of sucks otherwise. Sure. A lot of bad shit happens to him,
the struggle
and everybody understands it. Yeah, his struggles, his Parker luck.
I forgot.
But
hold on a second. I forgot that Booster is my children's age. Because obviously Lilo and Stitch had a big impression on him.
Yeah.
He says in all caps, and family means no one gets left behind, which is a quote directly from the movie.
That's right. And then she leaves her family behind.
Right. Go ahead, Grim.
But you know what also is ironic about the shit too?
Yeah.
Because they always talk about the women being able to do what the men do. And in the original movie, what Nani does is what countless men have done
Uh-huh.
in those situations.
Mhm.
Is like Thundara said, overcoming the shit, the loss of their parents, shit, being thrust into that role where it's
Yeah.
like, I'm it.
Yeah.
I'm it. And if
Oh,
it's not me, it won't be anybody.
Mhm.
And she overcomes that to keep everything together.
together. Yeah.
That's heroic.
It is heroic. And of course, at the end of the original movie, she and David basically become the parental figures for Lilo and Stitch. But in this movie, not only does there not seem to be any love interest between her and David at all, David is turned into the comedy relief.
That's
Of
right.
course
Of
he
course
is.
he is.
Are you kidding me?
Of
David?
course he is. No, these movies are written by Chester. Booster said it correct. This movie was written by the enemy. These people are the enemy of civilization. They are the enemy of all sanity and all reason and everything that has made humanity what it is. Everything that has drugged us out of the muck and drug us out of mud huts and drug us out of living in our own filth was effectively the desire of, believe it or not, men, so their family wouldn't have to live that way. That's why. That's it at the end of the day. And these people are anti everything that has to do with good and what is good. They take all good for evil and all evil for good. They are evil. We need to stop pretending like they're just misguided. They're not. They know what they're doing. They're doing it on purpose and maliciously. They
Yeah.
want to destroy the family unit. They're open about it. They talk about it. It's why they promote all sorts of whether it's just pure degeneracy or they promote abandon your own family to go live your dream, which is ridiculous because if your dream doesn't include the people who rely on you, then what the hell's the good of it? Um, these sorts of people are evil and rotten to their core. The reason why they're anti, and not even just anti-white, they're anti any race apparently, because everything has to constantly be mixed all the time, everywhere, all at once, without any understanding of. For many phenotypes,
I'm
that's
going to get some
incredibly
coffee.
dangerous.
Ooh,
That's
phenotype.
actually
Are you
not.
trying to wake me
That's
up?
actually not. That's actually not a good thing to do. Yes, we can do it, but there are a lot of downsides to it, not just socially, but medically even. There's a lot
Yeah.
of issues it can create. And I'm not saying you should. I'm not making a moral judgment. I'm mixed race. Reggie's mixed race. Grimlock's mixed race. Chester's got mixed race kids. My point is there's a lot of downsides to it that we don't talk about. And the reason why these people promote it is very simple. They know full well the problems that it causes. They know these things. These aren't secrets. They know full well that the problems they cause socially and economically and all sorts of things, and they want to do it on purpose. They're trying to destabilize the family unit. They're trying to destabilize nations. The natio of the word nation means family. That's what it's always meant. Always and forever. Nation is just your extended family effectively. That's the idea. Now, sometimes that means a lot of people, sometimes it doesn't. But they know exactly what they're doing, and they've been doing it for decades. This is intentional. This isn't an accident. Hell, Malcolm X was talking about it in the 60s. They know what they're doing. They're doing it on purpose. The reason why they do this with her abandoning her own blood is because they want you to think it's okay to do that. It's not. It's not acceptable behavior. And the fact that we've told women for so long that it's completely acceptable behavior to abandon your own people and just go, you gotta go live experiences. You gotta go get experiences. No, bitch, you gotta get responsibilities. That's what you gotta do. That's what you gotta do. You want a normal life? That's what you gotta do. That's what normal life is. There's things you got to take care of. There's people you got to take care of. If you're going to live your entire life only taking care of you, that's fine. You're allowed to do that. But understand that doesn't make you a good person. That makes you a very bad person. By every metric since the dawn of always, if you're a completely self centered, selfish, narcissist, whatever term you want to come up with in the zeitgeist of the day, you are considered a bad person in every culture on earth that's worth being in anyway. Maybe there's some shitty ones out there who don't care, but most of them do care, and especially Polynesian culture. You don't abandon your family over there. Like Grimlock was saying here, That's a big deal to them. We gotta look at pro wrestling right now. WWE, the entire thing is basically one Polynesian family at this point. They've taken
And their
over.
best, but it's also been their best storyline in the last 10 years.
Oh, easily. And these sorts of things, like I said, they're very intentional. They know what they're doing. They could do the opposite. They could promote family values. They could be out here talk, which is what they used to kind of do. But then they see back in the day, the reason why I talk about Disney and how they've been on this for a very long time, pretty much since Walt died, if we're being honest. They've been on this degenerate, let's destroy everything for a very, very long time. They were much more subtle with it back in the day, though. Now they're just out in your face with it. Like, no, just abandon your family. No, that's cool. It's fine. Oh, Ohana doesn't mean anything. That's just something people told us to make us shut up. What? What? There's like her whole creed of her life was that. And now all of a sudden, that's fine. You don't need that. Just go be a marine biologist. That'll make you happy. That'll fulfill you. That'll bring you peace and love and joy. And make sure you go be a marine biologist. Don't yeah. Get rid of Lilu. You don't need her. Get rid of her. Like this situation is intentional. They do these things on purpose. The reason they did what they did with She-Hulk was on purpose. They knew what they were doing. It's never just see, here's the problem with us. Not me, and not really you, but sometimes with our friend Chester here, who's not here at the moment, but he'll be back. Is the naivete. And it comes from a place of genuineness, sincerity. Because he's incapable of being that evil, of thinking that evilly. He thinks other people don't do it normally either. And this is the normal state for most of humanity. They don't conceptualize evil because they're not evil, right? They don't think that way. They don't think about how to destroy things and how to corrupt things and how to, take over countries or whatever evil thing they have in their mind. But I was luckily raised by a bastard man, you see. I know my boy Grimlock here was raised by a bastard man who had no problem with hurting people if need be. And that being raised by people like that, you can see a little bit from their perspective, and you understand that there is a different. Not everybody thinks the same. Nobody has the same moral equation, and because of that, when you get these certain people in positions of influence, they do things like this. It's my point is this is intentional. This isn't an accident. They know what they were doing. They did it on purpose, and they're going to keep doing it. It's why every one of these live action adaptations, or at least just about everyone, has done something very similar, where they betrayed the entire premise of the original story because reasons. That's why. Because screw you, that's why. It's completely out of hand, but of course they're going to do that, and they're going to keep doing it until they can get away with it. I genuinely do think Disney's not going to make it, though. They need a miracle at this point.
It's wild, though, because this is less than 60 days after Snow White.
Yep.
And the abomination that was.
Yep.
How are you a Disney exec and you saw that shit and you knew what Lilo and Stitch was going to be, because this movie has been in the can for quite a while?
Yep.
How did your ass did not get tight enough to put a piece of coal in there and squeeze a diamond, knowing that we just had this disaster? And think about this. Just less than a year ago, there was a real big push to get Bob Iger the fuck out of there.
Mm-hmm.
And he turned to all his DNC buddies to put out propaganda things against Nelson Peltz to save his ass.
Yep.
And you put out this shit. And it's only going to get worse because in a couple of weeks you have fucking Ironheart.
Oh, wow.
You're fucking Ironheart.
Well, Bob Iger told us that with Ironheart, it is replacing Tony Stark and it's a much better Tony Stark. We've been told.
That's correct, and you will accept this narrative, or you're the bad guy.
Yeah,
I'm fine. Hey, look, in the words of Scott Hall, I'll be the bad guy, Chico.
Yeah. Yes.
That's true.
That's right.
Yeah. And that
like
Angel
Scott Hall
Reese girl
once
said that with WNBA too, but at least Diesel could do his job.
As Scott Hall also once famously said, Oh crap! I just blanked on it. Never mind. I'm gonna leave it go because I completely blanked on it.
Yeah. And
No, I
there
missed. I
and
do miss Scott Hall.
there
I do
is a
miss Scott Hall.
correction that needs to be made. A correction.
Uh-oh.
You are speaking to an anthropologist, you know.
This guy, here he goes.
You made the statement that as throughout history, all men ever have been to pass their seed along. Actually, only about 27% of men have passed along their genetic
Succeeded
information.
at it. Correct. Have succeeded,
Yeah.
but all have wanted to.
Yeah.
They just couldn't because
Oh,
they
did
were.
you
no.
see the anthropological news that came out here about a month ago?
What is it? Tell
It
me.
was pretty good.
Hit me with it.
Well,
Hit me
they
with it.
found a bunch of bones up here, and they've been studying them since 2017, to be honest. So it's been a while. But up in Morocco, it was a big find, and they were actually able, through various means. I won't go into it because I'll be here for an hour. But they have pushed the human origin, us, the modern Homo sapiens sapien, right, back to
Yep.
385,000 years.
Excellent.
Hmm.
We're
That's
old.
like
Pretty soon.
doubling.
They don't know. They don't.
No,
think
they don't know.
They're just making,
Although
making shit up.
that one is a little bit more believable because carbon dating, they say, doesn't go bad. You can't really, isn't any good past 50,000 years. I say it's not good past 200 years. But
Yeah, I say
nevertheless,
it's bullshit.
um,
Yeah.
there is a measure that seems to be fairly accurate, though. See, because with stone, particularly the crystalline in the stone, it's constantly being bombarded, as everything in there, we all are, by radiation, right? We're constantly being hit by it. But and the stone will pick up a catalog of that. You can actually very easily kind of date the stone this way. But stone is kind of interesting. If you heat it in a fire, it resets that information back to zero, and then you can start counting it again. And in that cave complex, they found a whole bunch of tools and weapons, and handmade, chipping off of the flaking off of the flint, right? In that, and they had been in the fire, so they actually were able to count that very accurately. That's kind of cool. Anyway, had nothing to do with nothing.
It's
But
interesting that stone can do these things.
yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
So
Did
you're
someone
telling
tell
me.
you you couldn't date stone? Someone lied to you, huh? Sorry.
So you're telling me. You're telling me that we're 385,000 years young,
Hmm.
and yet somehow we only have records for about
6,000
11.
years.
Yeah, 6,000.
Well,
If
record
you want to.
6,000.
Yeah, yeah. So okay, that's even worse. That's even worse.
Yeah.
That's not even. That's not even nothing. That's not even 1%
I
of
know.
how long we've been around. So somebody's telling me some history, some bullshit somewhere.
Yeah.
Is what you're telling me.
Well, see,
Yeah.
most of the time they don't use stone in this way because it hasn't been heated. Therefore, it's just been sitting where it is for a very long time, and it doesn't help you, right? But if it's been heated in a fire, it can be useful in time in measuring time. It can be. Anyway,
Interesting.
this is an abomination, which is a shame because it looks great. I mean, even though the two girls are not Polynesian, and it's insulting to the Polynesian people, the Lilo girl particularly, she looks cute. She looks good, and Stitch looks excellent. I mean, that's good. They did a great job with that dude. Stitch looks
Yeah.
really good. It's a shame that they completely missed the whole damn point of the story.
They didn't miss it, Chester. They knew what they were doing.
I know, that's true.
They did what they do.
Well, let's see how it's affecting things, shall we? Because what a weekend! Why did the people in charge of Mission Impossible drop this on Lilo and Stitch weekend? Is my question. Because Lilo and Stitch, next weekend is probably going to have a big drop off. But you knew people were going to go to the theater to see that movie because it's Lilo and Stitch, dude. But to be fair, that's not a good number. Look at that. That's only
Not good enough.
145 million, dude. I would have expected that thing to be up around 3 to 5.
Yeah.
Holy crap. That's only 70 million in the pocket so far, and let me go look at the international number. Yeah. Yeah, that's more what I expected. They probably they'll probably make their money back on this one. Maybe we'll see. Because that's like 170 million dollars in the pocket so far. Probably cost them around 400, 500, right?
Probably.
So
Well,
yeah, they'll probably
one of
make
the
their money back.
advantages of using basically nobodies is they don't have to pay them anything,
That's true.
so that helps.
That's true. Now this is the sad thing. Only $100,000,
Well,
$100 million for Mission Impossible. Now, to be fair, I don't know how expensive that movie was to make. It's not mega high budget for sure, uh, but that's certainly not enough. But
well, here's why it'll probably be all right. One, they're not even full release yet. They're only in 3,857 theaters. That's not even all the theaters in the country. Not even close. So I don't know why they're not. Maybe it was because of the Lilo and Stitch thing, I'd imagine. So they might get a broader release next week or the week after. But they made those two movies together, effectively. They
Mhm,
made the one before it and this one basically at the exact same time.
right.
And it's just been kind of sitting in the can as they cleaned up stuff and did reshoots or whatever. Um, so I'd imagine they had a joint budget or basically a joint budget. I can't imagine they're not gonna end up at least making their money back. But the way a lot of these movies, especially this kind of movie, is funded is if they make their money back, they made money because they get their money through all sorts of other side deals, whether it's through streaming or they get it through broadcast rights, or they're funded by advertisements and sorts of things like a product placement. These movies like this are usually basically funded before they even hit or refunded, I should say. Their money's been made back or their investors have been paid back before they hit theaters through various means, or they will be,
Thank you,
right?
Sheik.
And I think that's probably what happened here. It's kind of like the Godzilla movies. They don't usually bring in huge numbers worldwide, at least not like
Wow.
Marvel numbers.
Sheik looked it up, and it cost 400 million to make, so they're not going to make their money back even close. This is
Is
I
a,
that
don't
for
think
both of them or just that one?
I think
I
that's
don't know.
both of them
I don't know.
because they made them together, so there's no way to separate the budgets for the two. Uh, which would make sense because there's not. It's not like these are. They shouldn't be. This shouldn't be a $400 million movie. Is what I'm saying. Like from what we've seen of it. Uh,
No, I wouldn't. I
so
wouldn't put it in that genre. I wouldn't think it would be that much. Yeah.
I think what they did is they budgeted them together. It probably came out to about 400 million for the two films, and I think they'll end up making a profit on the back end, especially with the streaming rights and
Yeah,
everything
but
else.
and I hope so, because it's certainly it's worth you go watching. You should go watch it. I mean, there's not much in the theaters right now, and it's certainly a popcorn flick you can enjoy. No,
Yeah.
he said it's just this one. Wow,
Oh wow.
that's not good.
See,
But
where do you get that information though?
I don't
Because
know.
even they don't have it on there yet. I don't think
But
they've released how much how
this
much it
is
was
the
yet, the
number
budget.
that I'm focused on right here.
Yep. Well, it's because of
77
Lilo and
million
Stitch.
domestic. I don't get that.
It's Lilo and Stitch. I don't know
Yeah.
what they're doing this fall or this summer. Everybody's got their movies coming out together. I don't know why. They'd all decided their movies can only come out between May and August, and that's it. So every movie's coming out of any budgets coming out between May and August this year. I have no idea why. We've seen multiple
Mm,
times. The only one that didn't was Minecraft, and the only reason it made the money that it made was because one, it's Minecraft, and two, it didn't have any competition.
and
It
none,
had
yeah.
no competition.
Huh.
Why?
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's this is
I don't
unfortunate
know.
though
I
because
think a lot of these movies have been in the can for a while, and I think that's why you're seeing this. They're just getting them out now. They have to
maybe,
put them out, so they're just putting them out.
yeah, maybe. Now this movie, The Last Rodeo, has that bad guy from Justified. I can't think of the he's a character actor. He's a pretty good one too. Can't remember his name.
He's
But
a weird name.
Yeah, but he's a solid character actor though. This guy. This is his movie though, and it's a rodeo movie, and for what it is, that's not a bad start. That's about 300 million in their pocket. I mean, excuse me, 3 million in their pocket. I doubt this was a super high end movie with this probably what 10 million, 20 million max.
Yep.
doesn't give me a
Yeah, probably not
distributor
even that.
though. Yeah. But so that came out this weekend. I actually saw a trailer for that this weekend when I went to see Mission Impossible. Look, maybe I'll check it out. I did see a lot of trailers of crap I have no interest in though. Um, Unfortunately, F1 with Brad Pitt, maybe, maybe.
Yep.
But that Jurassic Park one, well, even though it's got Scarlet in it, I have zero interest in that series. Um, yeah, there's just not really anything coming out I'm interested in. And then the only other thing we got here, see, there wasn't much. These every weekend's been thin on the vine, though, dude. Have you noticed this? What is
Yes.
everyone dropping in June or something?
They're June and July.
All
I
right.
think most of them are in July.
Well, you
I
know,
don't know why. That's what I'm saying. I don't know why they did this. It was just a massive retard move all at once from these studios. Um, so I don't know. I genuinely don't know why they decided to do this. I don't know what they're thinking. They cannot get young audiences back. COVID killed them. And
Yeah.
we said it was going to happen when it happened. They have not been able to recover. There have been a few bright spots here or there, but the reality is most of those bright spots were by people our age showed back up.
right.
Maverick wasn't a bunch of young people in there. It wasn't a bunch of teenagers in there. It was a bunch of old people, for instance. Uh, since COVID, there have been few movies that have made a ton of money. You got like the Barbie movie made a ton of money,
It
but it
did.
made a ton of money
Yeah.
because it was a chick movie that women have literally wanted to see since they were little girls. They wanted
Yeah.
a Barbie movie, a proper Barbie movie.
Live action. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, so like Mario made a bunch of money, but it's fucking Mario. The fact that it made more money than Minecraft actually blows my mind. I get it's Mario and it's a better movie, but Minecraft is the biggest singular selling game of all time. It's not, and it's not close. Its numbers are outrageous. So
It doesn't have the generational pull Mario does.
well, it has two generations. It came out almost 20 years ago or 15 years ago.
Still,
The the crazy thing to me is that these movies are bombing as hard as they are. I don't know if Hollywood can pull out of this, even if they find some other, cash cow like the superhero movies were for so long. I think they shot themselves in the foot with COVID forever. I think people realize they don't have to deal with all this bullshit. They don't have to go deal with a bunch of idiots in a theater doing stupid shit, being on their phone, being loud, doing whatever. They can just sit at home on their big ass 60-inch screen and watch the exact same movie for way cheaper, save a bunch of money often, or for basically the same price, and they can just chill. They don't have to worry about any of the other nonsense. They don't have to pay the outrageous prices for popcorn, stuff like that. I think a lot of people got real comfortable with that. And I said that in 2020 before COVID shut all the theaters down that this was coming. The easier it gets, the people will always go the path of least resistance. If they wouldn't, the absolute best movie going experience of all time is still the drive-in. Go find one. Go find one. They're hard to find. I think there's one
Yeah.
around here, I think. Maybe like 20 miles from here. They're hard to find.
They were fun though.
But they're so much fun. It's so much more fun than going to a theater. So much more fun. But it's dead because it's not as convenient. That's it. Convenience will always trump
Oh,
everything else.
how is a drive-in less convenient than a fucking regular theater? I mean, I don't have to get out my car. I ain't got to sit next to the fat guy.
Well, it's because they don't have as many options. If you go to one of the big theaters, they're going to have multiple different films you can watch. And that's really all it is. If they're not playing something you want to watch at the drive-in, you're not going to go fuck with it, most likely. But you could potentially
Shit,
go
that's
to a
where I've been
theater
with movies for the last 15 years.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Unfortunately. Yeah. I'm looking at June and July. I'm on to July here. There's a few things, but there's not a lot, dude, that I'm interested in.
Like
Happy Gilmore
Yeah,
2.
Gilmore.
Why?
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, no,
I
it's
bet you it gets more money than Fantastic Four.
It might.
Now that
Would be
some
funny. Yeah.
serious
be
justice
funny.
on a cosmic level.
It would be.
Yeah, I'd love that.
I've said it before. I say it again. Everybody loves to shit on Adam Sandler movies, but everybody's got a favorite one.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
Little Nicky's for me. I love Little Nicky, Waterboy, Happy Gilmore. Yeah.
do I have a favorite one? Ooh, I like Adam Sandler movies. I don't like his new ones, but his
The
90s
old
ones are
ones,
great.
yeah.
Yeah.
Waterboy was excellent, but I loved Little Nicky. Everyone seemed to
There
not like that one, but I thought it was hilarious.
there was a time I could recite Waterboy. Literally recite the whole movie.
Yeah, it's
All
funny.
of it.
It's a good movie,
Yeah.
dude.
No, it's a great movie. It truly is.
I heard.
And
What was that
our
girl's name?
boy,
Vandercourt something. Vicky Vandercourt
yes, I think that was
or
it. I think that
Valancourt?
was it. Yeah.
Vicky Vandercourt. Yeah, the
It's
perfect
Valancourt.
sluttish
Vicky Valancourt.
white trash girl. That girl, that actress.
Yep. Um, and then we have the appearance by our boy, the Big Show, as Captain Insano.
Yeah,
Ah,
yeah.
Oh,
oh, I guarantee that guy's still a virgin. I fucking love that. That might be my favorite one. You might have found it, Chester. I love that movie.
Waterboy is good, dude. It is good. But I just something about Little Nicky. Like I said, most people don't seem to like it, but I like Little Nicky.
Yep. No,
Yeah.
he is right though. I did look it up. According to Collider, now again, that's Collider. Their rumored budget for Final Reckoning is 400 million.
Wow,
So unless it
Jesus.
picks up real quick, they're gonna
Yeah.
lose some money.
they're in trouble. They're in trouble. But it is what it is, dude. It's and looking at June and July, there's not a lot coming that I'm interested in. We'll see how it flows, but last year was a bad year for cinema. We looked at it before and we thought maybe this year would be better. It's not shaping up so far, dude.
I actually think it's going to be a good thing in the end. I think this correction is needed. For one,
Yeah.
people are tired of Hollywood's preachy bullshit. For two, the MCU made everything ridiculous. It made everybody's expectations way too high. And I think that was a cultural moment. I think that time has passed. And I don't think we're going to see it again, at least not for a very long time, if ever. I
Yeah.
really do think that we're at the end of what we all grew up with. Well, especially
Yeah.
Grimlock and I, where the blockbuster was the culture, effectively.
It was.
Summer
No,
blockbuster.
Summer blockbuster.
It ran for a
You
while.
couldn't wait to get out of school because you knew the good movies was finally fucking coming.
That's right.
Yep.
Because, and we had the same problem. Hollywood collapsed in the early 70s, and you had a bunch of independents come up. Now, of course, Steven Spielberg, George Lucas, Cameron, all these guys now are household names. But they were the indies that took opportunity from the fall of Hollywood. Keep that in mind, right? So
And I think
we're in that
that's
situation
what you're
again.
gonna see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's.
I'll say this: there's one big thing missing about that era with this era.
Mhm.
Those guys, even though they came up and it was considered indie, they still cut their teeth, doing other things. A lot of people forget. Steven Spielberg made his directorial debut doing Columbo.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of these younger people who get into these industries expect to get pushed straight to the front of the line just because they showed up.
Roger,
And
I hate to tell you, Voltron has been pushed back and it's not coming to cinema. It's only going to Amazon Prime.
Yep.
Sorry.
which is, I think, is a mistake.
Yeah, well,
Either that or they
that's what's
got either that or they got some really bad projections. But that era is pretty much done, and it's kind of wild because has there ever? I don't think, at least in my lifetime, I think we've seen so many industries, because it's not just Hollywood. There was a lot of industries that made such a massive misread
Oh yeah.
on 2020.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Where they did not seem to understand, no, this is an anomaly, motherfucker. This was not the normal behavior.
No.
But for some reason they thought that the pandemic was going to be the norm going forward. And it took less than a year and a half of people finally being able to go back outside for it to basically course correct.
In America, not everywhere. I didn't have that problem over here, and we had hardly any people die. But then again, our report was normal.
Well, no, I'm talking about from a business aspect, not from a living and dying. I'm saying because it's not just Hollywood that misread COVID. like you had a lot of industries who, like the video game industry, big misread. A lot. Oh, Game Pass is going to be the wave of the future because everybody was at home and they had nowhere else to go, so they went and got Game Pass. Now it's like, oh wow, this isn't really profitable like we thought it would be because people can go back outside and
Right.
uh
Yeah. Well, I mean, the death thing is kind of important because of the mindset, right? Like, for instance, would you like to guess what the current count of dead from the vaccine, not from COVID, from the vaccine is just in America? Do you know
oh,
the
there's
current
there's
count?
more.
Well,
There's
yeah,
more.
but I'm just saying, do you know what the current official count is?
2 million.
600,000 confirmed dead from the vaccine. Not
That's right.
COVID. The vaccine killed them. Matter of fact, the CDC came out for a little blip of there and said they've only accounted for 9,000 actual deaths from COVID, and then that disappeared quick, right?
Mm,
I'm telling you, that vaccine killed more people than COVID did,
yeah, I
right?
believe it.
And we're still going on with that. And coroners and other people are just, they can't believe what the body of these dead people look like. It's really not normal. It's really not
Yeah.
normal. Those vaccines have done stuff to us, dude.
Not to me.
Well, fine, you special little boy.
I didn't take
Yeah, well, some of us didn't have choice, dude.
them. I didn't take them. They would have had to hold me down and force it into my arm.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying, dude. That is bad shit. Especially seeing as they made sure they protected Pfizer and Johnson Johnson. You can't even sue them, dude. You
Yep.
legally are not
Well,
allowed.
it's been that way for decades. You're not allowed to sue these companies. Well, there's a way to do it, but it's very difficult,
Yeah, but they
and
closed
it's
that door with COVID-19.
you have to. It's so expensive. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Uh, like there's a reason why they have their own special court just for that, just for vaccine injuries. They know this shit hurts people. They don't care. It's about
No,
money.
they don't care.
People are like,
Yeah.
no, nobody would do that. Nigga, what are you on about? People shoot each other over $10. What are you talking about? What do you think they're gonna do over billions? Billions,
Shit,
trillions.
I've seen people get in fights and threaten death over frickin' Big Macs.
That's right. Well,
Tasty Big Mac,
Waffles.
yo.
I don't know about Big Macs though. Double quarter pounder. Hang on.
I'm just saying, people get violent over the most petty
Literally
shit,
things they made up in their head that didn't even
especially the
happen.
black fatigue.
Yes.
Nigga fatigue.
No, dude,
Yes.
I've seen it. They get
Oh, I
upset
know.
and will go to the nth degree for nothing. Nothing.
Yeah, niggas.
Yeah,
Yep.
well, I know that's true. Yeah, it's unfortunate. And I'm glad to see that everybody, including all the black people, are had enough and speaking out against it. I'm glad to see that.
Black people were the first ones to speak out against it, but they got killed for it.
Yeah, because they suffer the most. Let's be fair. They're in it.
Well,
Yeah.
no, it's all right. Next year will be the 30th anniversary of Chris Rock's "Black People versus Niggas" bit.
Right.
And I remember
Good
when Nate
bit.
first came out, Black people was up his like they was calling him every kind of coon and house nigger in the book
Right.
because of what he told the fucking truth.
In a
Oh,
funny way.
but he did it in front of white people. Who gives a fuck?
Who cares? Dave
You
Chappelle
wasn't
did the same
listening.
thing.
You wasn't listening behind closed doors. You only gave a fuck because white people heard about it. Like white people didn't know. White people.
It,
Here's a funny story. White people have the same grievances.
Of course we do. Everyone does. Everyone's sick of that ghetto nonsense. We're all sick of
Yes.
it. We're all sick of that. We're sick of the screaming, screeching Karens. We're sick of a lot of shit. People are sick and tired, dude.
Oh, I'm telling you, I love watching those videos, those police videos
My
of
wife does too.
women.
Yeah.
You've seen it. The women, they just get pulled over for a regular traffic stop, but nah,
And they never shut up.
she just can't shut the fuck up. So now she's going to fucking jail.
Yeah, over dumbass shit. All it is a traffic ticket, dude. But no, you got to escalate it. You
Bitch,
got to
just
spit.
pay
And
the
you got to punch the cop. It's like, dude, they don't like that very much, you know.
bitch, just pay the $75 and be done with it. You don't even have to leave your house to pay a ticket these days.
No, you don't. I'm not. I just send it in the mail. I've got a couple here in Japan.
Bitch, you could do it online. I know the last speeding ticket I did, I fucking like, oh shit, I gotta pay that by tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I rolled over, turned on my laptop, paid that shit, went back to sleep.
You know what I've noticed from
Like,
those videos is the women never shut up, right?
yeah,
But the men are actually fairly quiet.
yeah.
It
Because we
is.
know, look,
It's a radical difference.
you know why? Because most of the time men going, damn, I slipped up. How to let that motherfucker get in my back door?
Then no, that's right. That's right. But I've seen many situations where there was because the lady is being dumb and she forced because these cops are way too patient, dude. They're way too patient. But she forces the situation where they got to put her in cuffs, and then the guy's like, "Dude, take your hands off my woman." Then boom, instantly he's in cuffs. You're going to jail. And the woman, they just let her go. I've seen that happen many times. It's like, damn, dude.
I saw one, this white chick was doing 90 and a 45.
Ooh,
He was fucking, I mean, cop had her dead to fucking right.
right.
Her boyfriend was in the car, but you could tell he knew what kind of bullshit they was about to get into because homeboy, like, yeah, she's like this. That's all he said. He's
Right.
like, yeah,
She's
she's
like
like this. He's like,
this. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he was in his mind. He's like, please arrest this bitch. Please give
Yeah.
me a peaceful night's sleep for the first time in 5
Right.
years.
Well, that's why I prefer the word ghetto because there are in those videos there are white girls and there are Latino girls and boys too. It's predominantly black, but it's not also.
The ones I see, it's one or two. It's either loudmouth white women and loudmouth black women.
Yeah, mainly
So
it's mostly that. Yeah.
this nonsense that women are not protected in this country. I'm like, bitch. Do you know how many men look at those videos and go, if I talk to a cop like these bitches are talking to a cop,
Yeah.
the fucking coroner would be describing my cause of death to
Right.
my family.
Well, they certainly have way more patience for women than men. That's true. But to be even with the men, the especially black men, the cops, the level of patience, I think it's actually a deterrent to their success. Right? Like the George Floyd thing. What was the mistake the cop made? They were too soft. Put him in the damn car and take him down. Oh, finished. Right? But they were trying to cater to him and be nice. And the dude, he basically took his stash and threw it in his pocket when he got in the back of that seat, and he died from ODing himself. That's what happened. But they got in trouble because if they had just taken him down the station, it would be done, dude. These cops are too soft. I understand why. There's so much noise on them, but they're too damn soft. If a person is getting in your face, spitting, and making trouble like that, just put him in cuffs and take him down, let him cool off. And they'll be
You know
hearing
what's funny though?
Yeah.
It's even funnier. Have you ever watched those videos with somebody who's from a foreign country watching those? It goes, your cops are way too nice.
They are too nice, dude. And the thing is, because on the other hand of it, policy is what causing it too much of that niceness, right? But it also has got to the point that, like you see a drunk video, right, where someone is just drunk off their ass, right? They're bad drunk. You know they're drunk. They can't even speak coherently. Just put them in your car and take them home, dude, or put them in a tank, right? Either way. But these days, they have to press charges. So people
Yeah.
are getting charges on top of them when really in the past it wouldn't be that. If someone's drunk and being violent and murderous, okay, fine. But normally you just take them, put them in a tank, or take them home, and it'd be over. Right now, if they kept making a problem, you got to deal with it. But you know what I mean, dude.
I tell people I have a tactic, and I'm pretty sure. I don't care how dark of a black man you are. If you do this, it'll help. You get pulled over by the cop. Turn your radio to the nearest country station.
Oh yeah.
I don't care what cop you got. I don't care how big of a dick he is. He pulls up and he hears a nigga playing Blake Shelton. It's just gonna brighten his day.
And it will brighten his day. That's true. And just be nice.
And if it is, he pull over, bust out singing the motherfucker. Just hit a few bars of Big Green Tractor, and then be like,
Mhm.
"Oh, sorry, officer. What? How are you?"
Yeah, yeah, that is true. But mostly, like I said, the dudes are usually fairly quiet, although they don't get the breaks that the women do. But these women, dude, if you watching those videos, they do not shut up. It's so incensed. It's so
Entitlement
angry,
is
dude.
what it is.
So entitled. It's like, what the hell, lady? You ran through a stop sign. It's what, $50? Shut it.
Yeah.
Well, it depends. It can be a little more than that, but yes. Especially, at least the only judge I've ever been in front of for any kind of behavior like that was for a speeding ticket, and he was chill. So he only charged me 50. It ended up being 150 because we have this amazing thing in America where your fine is only $50, but then you have to pay taxes on your fine. And I said, wait, what? How's that work? And it literally says tax. I'm like, oh, and my tax was $100. I said, so wait a minute.
You know how many times? You know how many times? Here's the funny thing. Here's another reason not to be a dick. A lot of times, the fucking cop will actually reduce your ticket
Yeah,
Yep.
if
a
you're not
lot
a dick.
often.
Like the last time I got busted, homie had me dead to rights. I was doing 90 and a 70.
Gotcha.
But he wrote on the ticket. He said, "Look, I'm put down that you was doing 80 and a 70, and instead of 100 something, it was like 85." All right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're just tax collectors. That's what they are. They're glorified tax collectors getting money for the house, right? That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
And you just have to, it sucks, but you just have to understand, it's your turn to pay your taxes. That's it. That's that. Because the simple fact of the matter is, a cop could pull anyone over anytime, actually,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But
Find a reason.
yeah, but they do, especially when they're at the end of the month and they got to get their quota in.
Oh
But
yeah.
the
It's
but
Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, right. But these ladies, it's like, ma'am, this is the most minor thing. Just shut up. I mean, goodness gracious, you just shut up, dude. It's unbelievable. You ain't touching me. You ain't doing anything. Get your hands off me. I ain't going to jail. No one
Okay.
had said anything about jail, ma'am. It's
Famous
you
last
literally
words.
went through a red light, or you were going too fast, or your back lights out, or whatever it is. It's not that big a deal. It's a traffic stop, dude.
Yes. But it's an affront to their ego,
I guess.
their pride. No, it's funny
You
we're
know,
talking about this because I just happened to look over at the Twitter machine and somebody posted uh about the Womans,
Hmm.
and he said you can choose only one. Your very favorite kind of sex all the time, that's
Hmm.
one.
Hmm.
Or two, safety, prosperity, and hope for the future. And women have overwhelmingly chosen sex in the
Oh,
West
yep.
anyway.
I definitely go for
Uh,
the future one.
well, yeah, but basically his point is this is why 100% of successful societies restrain them from having sexual freedom. He says he's not happy about this fact, but it's just clearly reality.
I
And
know.
it's the same exact problem, but on in a different space. It's entitlement.
Yeah.
It's this idea that everything should work out for them. They should have no problems. They should have to deal with nothing. And how dare you make them do so? And it's just pride. It's just ego. It's not. I don't think for women. I don't think it's lust when it comes to being that way. I think it's pride. I think it's a matter of pride for them. That's why they do that. They
Huh.
get some kind of validation or whatever you want to call it out of basically just getting laid whenever they want. And it's because they have such a low level. The real problem in the West, and it comes from a lot of subversion in our media and in our academia, is a massive insecurity. Uh, everybody is so in. Well, I say everybody. So many people are so insecure, especially the women, at a deep, deep level,
Hmm.
and it's because they weren't raised in a proper human, not our culture, not our culture, human environment, surrounded by family and matriarchal women, matrons, to teach them how to have self-respect and self-love, actual self-love, not narcissism, to where they see themselves as more than just a hole to be filled. And I don't mean that in the sexual sense necessarily. They see themselves with more value than that because they see an older example of what they could be, of what they could strive for. That mothering figure, we have a million different analogies in fiction and whatever of the matriarch. How
Right.
powerful she is, how
Sure.
incredible she is, how adored she is, how she's supposed to be. They want the adoration without the wisdom, and that's not how it works. You cannot have one without the other.
True.
And if you try to have one without the other, you become a tyrant. And that's what they've become. They become
Yeah.
these little tyrants who think that nothing should apply to them, and how dare you inconvenience them? Who do you think you are? Right, we've heard them say this. Who do you think you are? Or something very similar, and they get belligerent because of it, because
And
they're above
very,
you.
very racist.
Yes. Well, it's the same thing, really. It's just belligerence. It's this person, this group, this race, this whatever is beneath me, and I'm going to treat them as such. And
Well,
you don't get to have that power without earning it. A matriarch in a society has some level of allowed prejudice because she's earned it. She's allowed to say, no, we're not doing that. We don't do that. Right? It's the
Right.
idea is
The mother.
you don't
Yeah.
you don't beat up a woman, you don't hit a woman, you don't especially an old woman. You be nice to them, you be kind to them, you help them. These are
Sure.
normal societies
Fear.
all over the world. This is
Right.
how they behave.
Fear, father,
But that's
respect, mother. Yes.
earned. And
Sure.
the fact that we've allowed this to get twisted, that every woman should just get that automatically. No, they shouldn't. If she's a
No, you
trifling
have
hoe,
to
treat
earn
her
it.
like one.
That's true.
If she's a whore, treat her like a whore.
Well, and that's a lot
That's
of
what she
thing.
is.
That's a lot of thing they don't get though, is because they
Yep.
get upset by a lot of things men say, and they don't understand. Men are very accommodating. We will treat
That's right.
you in any way you want to be treated, but once the decision is made, it is done.
That's correct.
Right.
And you will have to prove to us we're wrong.
Right. I'm
Good
just
luck.
saying that's the reality of it. And but one thing is very disturbing, and it's pushed back to the black fatigue thing for sure. But I've seen a lot of genocidal speak coming out of the black community, dude. A lot.
I mean, let's party.
Yeah,
because they're stupid.
yeah, I know they're
Yes,
stupid.
they
I
are.
They
know,
have
and they're afraid, and they're angry, and I get all that.
no, they're not. They're not
However,
afraid. They're stupid. Being stupid is worse than being afraid at
yeah, you're
times
right. But
because
that ain't
they
gonna
have a
work out,
unearned.
is my point.
I know that they have an unearned. They have this unearned confidence that they can somehow go into a race war with a population that is at least 5 times their size and win.
Yeah,
No
and
other fucking group
yeah,
on Earth would think something so stupid.
it is dumb.
Hell,
And
and look, the Chinese has a fucking population advantage in on just about everybody, and they ain't fucking with nobody.
no, because they suck in that regard.
They will
But
get stomped.
They
they will
know
They
it.
get
know it.
stomped. They know it.
See, they know it.
But here's the thing, though. It's you know, um, we know what would come out of that, but the problem with it is that if you keep escalating in that way, you're going to start seeing responses, right? And we're already starting to see it, and I don't want that.
Well, you do have a response. His name's
To
Donald
be
Trump.
honest, most normal people don't want it, but the ideologues, they're fucking jerking off at the thought of it because
Yeah,
they think that somehow this is not going to fall back on them. Going back to what you got, we've been talking about most of the night, how the ideologues of Hollywood didn't think that shit was going to roll back on them,
right, right.
and it's
Well,
costing them tons of money. The idiots who are pushing for this ideological based nonsense through politics with race and gender issues, this shit is starting to come back on your ass,
It is,
and you don't want this shit.
and you're hearing a lot of black people are superior, white people are monkeys. You're getting a lot of that shit. I've heard a lot of it over the past 6 months. But the problem with
Ooga
that
booga.
is the general concept of it is this: people, the groups, races, nations are not superior. People are, right?
Correct.
And it takes a whole lot of work to be superior, a lot.
Yes.
Like, for instance, whether you like him or not, Dwayne Johnson is superior.
But
Physically.
but here's the other thing. In a
Polynesians
war,
are not.
let's just say a race war was to kick off, and I'll be funny. 4th of July, we kick off the race war.
Well, we're not. The black people would
Like,
have to do it,
like
but I see your
black
point.
people,
Yeah.
black people have no allies here. They have pissed off everyone.
Yeah, the ghettos, yeah.
So, if a race war was to start, who's to say that the Asians, the Latinos, the
Well,
Jews,
they would be there
the
instantly.
Polynesians ain't gonna fucking jump in on with the white people to help whoop these niggas' ass?
But you know right well that a lot of black people who agree with us would get caught up in it. You know that.
As collateral damage,
As collateral
unfortunately,
damage,
because
yeah. That's not a good thing, dude.
that's why I tell them stay the fuck out of this shit. Let
Yeah,
them
you're
niggas
gonna
look.
have to, like, strap down and stay in the house or something. I hope it doesn't get, but the rhetoric is getting, whoa, dude, it's getting hot, right? And like I said, particularly it's been escalating, but it's escalated the past
Yeah.
couple of weeks because of
Hey,
this whole black
look,
fatigue thing. But it's escalating
I've
real quick, dude.
I've been saying it for a while. The white liberal, I will give him credit. Malcolm X warned black people about the white liberal. They didn't listen, and the white liberal has played the long game with niggas, and they're getting everything they want.
Oh yeah. Well, dude,
They've-
every bad thing that's
And
happened to black people in America has come out of the freaking Democratic Party, dude.
and
Everything.
I'm gonna say it like this: the Democrats are one more bad election away from having niggas back in the field picking cottons to save democracy.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now. No, I don't. Well, see, Chester, I don't know. You've been following. They had niggas singing spirituals earlier this year after the inauguration. They out there singing spirituals
I
and shit.
saw
And I'm
it.
like, oh god, they got these motherfuckers out. I'm
They
like,
do.
one
Well,
more bad election, they will have niggas out in the field picking cotton to save democracy from the Republicans.
let me show you
And
something
no,
here. I'm sharing my screen here. Now, she has her own coin, this lady here,
Huh?
right? I'm just making an example, right? This lady here, her name is Susan B. Anthony, right?
Mhm.
They put her face on a coin. She's a well-known, any American should know this name, whether you know anything about her. Let me ask a very simple, here's the one that's on the coin, by the way. Let me ask a super simple question. Why is she famous? Why?
for her husband not whooping her ass. That's what should have fucking happened.
That ain't it. But why is she famous?
Leader of the suffrage
She's a
movement.
leader of the suffrage community, women's rights, women's freedom. Now,
Yeah.
that's what she's famous for. Would you like, now she was a highly political person. Would you like to guess what party she was a member of?
The ugly
Communist
party.
Party.
Good lord. That's an
Actually,
ugly woman.
she was a Republican.
Yeah, but she's
Really?
ugly.
That's not the point.
We kick,
The
we
point
kick the
being
ugly ones
is
out nowadays. We get them out of here.
anything that happens in America that has any kind of positive push, right, actually has come out of not the Democrats.
Well, that's debatable, but go on.
Well, I'm just saying that I don't understand it. The information is right there. Who are the ones that were buying in, the vast majority of slaves? Who are the ones that demanded slavery continued? Who are the ones that did Jim Crow? Who created the KKK? Who did the redlining? Who did the welfare civil rights movement, which destroyed the black community? Who did all of this shit? All of it. The Democratic Party. Every
Jewish
single
bankers.
bit of it. Well, that's we're talking about. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying it's all right there for you to see. It's right there. Any bad thing that's happened to the black community in America has come out of the Democrats. And as you had said, even Malcolm X said, "Don't you be trusting them because they're going to get
Yes.
you." And then Louis Farrakhan
Yep.
killed him.
Well, he'll have that. He'll have that. Um, Are you waiting for me to argue with you, or
No,
because I'm
I'm
not
just
gonna?
I'm befuddled. I am befuddled.
No, you're correct though. The Republican Party, its formation was effectively as an abolitionist party. There was other things too. Lincoln was a terrible, terrible monster of a man.
He was.
But his lie anyway, the cover story for why he wanted to oppress the South, because let's be honest, that's what he wanted to do, uh, was at least a noble one, right?
What, the
Slavery's
slave
evil.
thing? You mean that
Yeah,
thing that didn't come up until 2 years into the war and the
yeah,
North was getting their ass kicked? You mean that one?
yeah. Well, that's why it's a lie. Yeah, but it was a noble lie, a noble one,
I suppose
and
so. Yeah, but then keep in mind they were trying to get rid of slavery back in frickin'
well,
1776, dude.
they absolutely were, and if it wasn't for them evil Democrats, they would have. Uh, the the sad part about the Civil War in general is it was not only unnecessary, it was intentional. Lincoln knew what he was doing. He did
Oh
it
yeah.
on purpose. He had talked about doing it before he was elected. It was an intentional act of effectively grand treason by the president against half the country to elicit this response. He knew what he knew it was going to happen. It wasn't a mystery. They told him they were going to do it, and if he was elected, and they elected him, and there you go.
Yeah. Well,
But
the main point of the Civil War was because the political power was in the North, but all the money was in the South.
yeah, it was taxation,
It was all
like
about
most wars.
money. Yeah, is why
Yeah,
it came. And we didn't have to have that war. And keep in mind, that
well, that's where I was
war,
going.
I got you. That
Yeah.
war killed 800,000 people, right? That is more than the American military death in every war we've ever been in combined,
Yes.
right?
And it maimed countless millions more
Yeah,
were maimed.
that's true. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was a
And who
ridiculous thing.
knows
Didn't need to
how many
happen.
women were raped.
And, oh, yeah, my don't dude, my goodness.
Yeah.
But then again, but keep in mind, the people keep going on. It was about slavery. You're an idiot. That was a
No.
tactic that
Mm.
Lincoln used, and it won the war because of it.
It
It
was a
was
brilliant
it was a
tactic.
genius
It was
move.
a genius move, but
Yeah.
Lincoln was an evil bastard, that crazed actor who was probably paid by bankers in Europe to do so. I digress. Almost certainly was. Did the world a favor by killing that son of a bitch. Lincoln was a bad person. He was not a good man.
No.
He was the first tyrant in the Republic's history, and it was the right call to put a bullet in his head.
What?
I'll
You
say it
did?
right now.
So you're pro Garfield then?
Well.
Anyway, sorry. But anyway, but yeah, that whole thing is nonsense. But I just don't understand the minority communities, particularly black community, just latching onto them Democrats. Now, a lot of people telling me the Democratic Party is dead and they're done forever. Yeah, I'll wait and see that.
No, they
But
have too much foreign investment to
it's
die
too
that
much
easy.
money. Yeah.
They
But
always have.
yeah,
Basically, since Jackson, they've had this issue. They're not an American party. They're a foreign party that uses Americans for other interests,
very
typically
true.
globalist banksters' interests. Because slavery,
Yeah,
here's the real truth about slavery. King George got blamed for it. It wasn't him. It was the Rothschilds. It was their empire, their banking empire that imposed
sure.
slavery on the world. That's who it always was. It
Yeah.
always was and it always will be. It was always a bankster conspiracy against the West. Because if you actually look at it, most of Europe, at least before the age of exploration, as we call it, when they went out and started colonizing everything and exploring, they either didn't have slavery at all, or it was very much local, or the slaves were if the Mediterranean, they were somehow imported across the Med. They didn't have a means really to get them to where they were. So this idea, and the vast majority of them were being enslaved by all sorts of Muslim invaders and
Right.
whatnot.
Well, they hired the
Um,
Dutch to take care of that. So
yeah, but my point that I'm getting at is this was imposed upon a lot of the Western peoples. They didn't like it. They did. It never sat right in the Christian West
no, the
stomach, and at least a
Protestants
lot of the people,
protested it
especially the
immediately.
Protestants.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just that form of slavery was always considered beneath us as humans. It was inhumane. It's why the abolition movement was so huge. It's why the British nearly bankrupted themselves to abolish it in the Atlantic, use their massive navy to shut down entire countries if they had to stop it. Uh, because it was evil, and they knew it was evil, and it was imported in it, or I'm sorry, it was imposed upon these people through various, moneyed interests. It was never really that's what's amazing to me is somehow white people have been blamed for this. And in fairness, yeah, sure, there was engagement, not a question, but it wasn't our idea, and we didn't own the slave ships. You know who owned them? Bankers in Europe, mostly. That's who
Well,
owned them.
It,
Who
you
brought them
know,
here?
and that's usually true. It's like when you watch those cowboy movies, they always show that each cowboy's got his own horse. Yeah,
Yeah,
most all cowboys did not own their own horse. The ranch
right.
did. But
That's
yeah,
right.
no, that's fair enough. But speaking of slavery, I got a question for Grimlock.
Oh,
Hi.
do I have slaves?
No, no. Of course, a lot of black people did.
Yes.
No. My question is, what do you think about Big Mike throwing Obama, Barack under the bus hardcore?
Big
Oh,
Mike.
you mean every chance she gets?
Yeah, dude. She's even talking about
I,
fantasizing about
I,
fucking other dudes. That's how much she's
I.
throwing him under the bus. What the
You know what?
hell, dude?
I
She ain't got no
absolutely love
class,
that.
dude. No class.
I absolutely love that white liberals gave this bitch a fucking podcast. At first I hated it, but now that I've heard it, I fucking love it
She just
because
yaps.
I told people because everybody's talking about maybe she could run for president one day. I'm like, you guys are really giving this idiot way too much credit. The fact that she has buried this dude, and think about this. You want to know how much it sucks to be a man in this country in this day and age, where you could be the literal most powerful man in the Western world, the most powerful man possibly in the world politically,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and your wife looks down on you with a disrespect and contempt and displays it on a international platform for all to hear.
Oh yeah.
Especially if
This
you're gay
bitch,
like Obama.
Yeah.
this bitch talks about him as though he's a fucking gas station attendant.
Right, he's a fry cook at Denny's. He's
Yeah,
all
Yeah,
over him.
I've never seen a
like
first lady do like that.
the,
I'm sure
the
some of those
level.
ladies have
No,
earnest disappointment with their husbands from time to time,
a
but
white woman.
they don't
I'll say this: a white woman would never air her, even if she
air her
hated
dirty
him,
laundry now.
would
No.
never air him out like this. Like,
No.
and this is a cultural thing with black women. Black women, culturally, going
Yeah.
back for the last 50 years, it is culturally accepted for black women to not have respect for black men.
It does that way.
They, now, here's the funny thing. Well, see, here's the funny thing. See, Alan, he's Hispanic. They would not disrespect Alan that way. If Barack Obama was Manuel Obama, oh, she wouldn't be talking about him like this.
No, that's true. That's true. I just
If,
never I mean, it's
and
outrageous
God forbid,
behavior, dude.
no, because they don't do this with other. Thundar, you watch wrestling. Have you heard Brandy Rhodes ever say anything disrespectful about Cody?
Never, not in public.
And you never,
Unless it was completely in jest, but never anything serious.
unless it was kayfabe, no.
Yeah.
And you never will, and you never fucking will. But
Yeah,
for
but I
a,
mean,
Here's the
a
main
black,
difference.
that's why I tell people
Brandy's hot,
I mean,
and
even
Michael
still,
is hideous.
even still, no, because if Barack Obama was Barry, and he was like Barry Manilow white, she'd say nothing but good things about him.
yeah.
True.
I just can't.
But
I just was really shocked because there's a
I'm
certain
not.
decor. Well, yeah, but there's a certain decorum required, right?
Black women don't have that currently.
Obviously, which is a shame
And
because when I was a kid, there were
Well,
plenty of black mamas that had a lot of decorum, dude. A lot.
some of them
okay,
do, but they're usually married to white boys.
look, let me put it to you because I don't know how much you follow this. Felicia Rashad did an interview recently
Mhm.
on one of the big hip hop stations.
Okay.
And she was talking about how black women carry themselves in public.
hmm
And she, Felicia Rashad being the, classy woman that she's always been,
hmm
Mm-hmm.
basically said that it's not a good look for women to carry themselves that way, especially if they're looking for a man. Oh, these bitches went off on her, calling her all kinds of names, telling her to sit her old ass down somewhere, and she don't know what the fuck she's talking about, and all of this shit. I'm like, you guys, you guys have the culture that these niggas have allowed to represent black people is sickening.
Yeah,
Between that and
it's
Obama, and like I
changed.
told people, if you want to know what entitlement looks like, well, you want Michelle Obama, but Mike, whatever the fuck it is, I don't know, I don't care. But if you want to know what entitlement looks like, you just take a look at the fact that they gave this idiot a fucking podcast where she disrespects her, where she's basically just disrespecting her husband. She's supposed to be interviewing other people, but somehow it always gets to where she can just drag Obama's ass through the streets.
And that's what
And
she's doing. She's really dragging him hard.
and
Unfortunately, yeah.
and again, that's entitlement because no other group of women would ever dare. Like you have a Japanese wife. If they gave your wife a podcast, I don't care what what her podcast would be about. I'm pretty sure that you would not be the subject
It would never
of
come
her
up. It
ire
would never come up.
in
Yeah, of course.
much.
Yeah. But see, I'm a
And
smart husband. I don't give my wife reason to be angry.
it's not even that. Look, like I said, this is the entitlement. Nobody would know what this Frankenstein-looking bitch even existed had she not been married to fucking Barack Obama.
Yeah.
The only reason we even know this person's name is because she was married to the most powerful man in the West,
Yeah.
and she got a free ride to a stratosphere she would have never had achieved on her own.
No.
And the fact that she
she's
could get in front of a fucking
admitted that.
yeah, and the fact that she can get in front of a camera on a fucking microphone and basically air out the man who took her ass along for the ride, that to me, I don't know what secrets, because I know he's got Secret Service people for the rest of his life. I don't know which one of them he needs to whisper in the ear of. I'd have it taken out.
Yeah, I mean, it's
That's a
not good, dude.
that's a
But
disrespect.
it,
That's a disrespect I could not bear. Like all the people, as I gotten older, the more heroic O.J. Simpson has become to me.
she is destroying his legacy. And I don't even like Obama, but it ain't right.
I
But
don't like. I
things
almost feel bad for him, but
in a
he
way,
was a shitty fucking
he
president. But
was.
the fact, but
Yeah.
but like you said, the fact that this man reached the highest, right? When I
Right.
was a kid, we was always told about how black men have to work this hard and that hard
Respect
and
the office, dude.
to achieve this, and it's like this man reached the highest of heights, right? You can't
Yeah.
get much higher than president. I
You
mean,
can't. No.
just being like the only thing that could be higher than him is if you died and you literally came back Jesus Christ.
Oh,
That'd be the
that would be
only thing
probably better.
higher.
Yeah. You know,
The only thing higher you could achieve in this world. And for this woman who would have nothing but a bullshit college degree to her name and
which she admits
student
is
loan
bullshit,
debt,
by the way.
well, they all have it.
Yeah.
A bullshit college degree with student loan debt.
Well,
Nobody would know this idiot's name, and for her to look down on this dude so often with and the funny thing is nobody checks her. Nobody on
no,
that show,
of course
especially the
not.
black women,
They're never going to
will
check her.
fucking
Yeah.
check
Well, I
her.
mean, keep in
And
mind,
say,
Kamala
"Hey,
Harris and Sonny Houston were lawyers,
proof that you don't hate lawyers enough."
or that you actually had to earn it because they're both morons. But things are out of control, dude, for sure.
Well, I mean,
Because
if you suck around, see, again, I never want to hear. I never want to hear from a woman how hard it is to be a woman in the West, because you're one blowjob away or one well-made sandwich away from getting whatever the fuck you want out of this
it's
life.
fair. But there's
You mean
this.
I could make a motherfucker a sandwich and I don't have to work for the rest of my life? God, Chester, what you want on your sandwich, nigga? You want that shit toasted? What I got to do?
I like horseradish sauce on my sandwiches.
Horseradish? How much? You want one scoop or two? What do you want, man?
I'm gonna go with
Might
one.
be the,
You know, you don't want to
might
overdo
be the
it.
whitest,
Uh,
the whitest answer I've ever heard to that
Thank you.
question.
Thank you. But things are way out of control. I mean, you have that I can't remember that whore that slept with 1,000 guys in 12 hours.
Yeah,
Something Bonnie Blue, is that it? It's not
that's
a real
something.
name, but
Was it Lily Phillips or something, or
well, whatever it
something
is,
like that?
that girl, right?
There's
Um,
two of them.
there's probably many of them. OnlyFans exists, but this girl, they actually had her on doing the talk show circuit. That's where our
Yep.
world is. That a woman's only claim to fame is she slept with 1,000 men in a 12-hour period, and she gets to be on the talk show circuit. That's where we are. That's where we are.
Now you know. Here's a rumor that I heard that I don't know how true it is, but if it's true, I'm actually cheering for Obama in this. There was a rumor that he was messing around with Michelle with Jennifer Aniston, and I know how much black women hate watching successful black men be with white girls, and you can't get much whiter of a white girl than Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah, but Jennifer
Ah,
vociferously denied it.
well, of course she would. She ain't stupid. She knows how the game. Jennifer knows how the game is played. She ain't
No.
stupid.
Yeah, but I would
But if
say, I don't know that Barack's really into women that much.
I'm just saying, I don't know if he is or not. I don't care. I just want that to be true because I know it makes black women see. Like he didn't just pick a regular snow bunny. He picked the fucking prototype snow bunny. Like
He did, yeah. And Booster, you're right. That is super gay. It is. Anyway, I gotta go. I got work. So, you got anything here to end with, Grimlock?
There's actually an interesting comic book team up that's coming out in October that I'm strangely looking forward to.
Ooh.
The Fantastic Four and Gargoyles.
Gargoyles.
That's a weird combo.
It's a weird
That's
combo, but it's
combo.
being written by Greg Wiseman, so I got some
Oh,
hope there
all
for
right.
it.
All right. That's interesting. Interesting. Cool. All right, then. Well, thank you all very much. We'll see you next week. Of course, this week on 2 days, we, of course, are doing the Fortress of Hope, which we're having fun with that. And I forget what we're doing. Oh, yeah. Edgar Rice Burroughs is this week
Oh,
on Drawn and Quartered. That's a lot of cool. I imagine I'm going to get me a bunch of Tarzans. But he has other stuff, too, of
you're gonna get
course. Yeah.
you're gonna get some Janes in there, you know.
Definitely get some Janes and probably some John Carter of Mars and stuff like that. But Edgar
Deja
Rice,
Thor.
oh, for sure. Deja Taurus would be great. But anyway, take us out of here, Thunder.
This one I haven't done in a very long time, and I like it. I think it's a good one. Brutality is often just another form of beauty. Virtue is not exactly gentle.
Ooh, namaste. Later, everybody.